we are live. Apologies for coming in a little late, but you know what they say, better late than never. So today, as the title suggests, we are doing we're trying to do something a little different today. We're doing a Star Wars book club stream, which is basically just me reading the canon novelizations that Disney put out. So today we're reading Brotherhood, Star Wars Brotherhood. This is a new book. We're reading this in preparation for the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's coming on Disney Plus, which I'm so hyped for. I am so excited for that. So yeah, this will be a chatting slash reading stream. So you could just chill, have me in the background. I won't read like all the way through. I'll take mini breaks and just talk to chat. So yeah, it should be fun. So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer for more people to come into the stream because I hear myself and I'm talking, but I don't know if my audio actually works. So I'm gonna wait till more people come in to let me know that my shit is working. But how you guys doing? Nose, what's up, bro? Thanks. These are my shades slash glasses. They help me see and they look cool. So bonus for both. What's up, brother? Did you get did you get your cleaning done? And what did you eat? Did you eat the ramen? Oh, also, I hope you can hear me right now because I am talking. So I'm hoping you could hear me right now. I can hear myself fine on the headset, but I'm not sure. I hope I don't have the problem like last time. I did, and I ain't eat yet. I'm going now though. Okay, and the fact that you answered me means that you can hear me, so that's perfect. But yeah, definitely get something to eat, bro. Knowing someone like me, I'm always hungry, so I'm eating like 24/7. I think I'll wait till Beanie comes in, and then we'll start the reading stream. But this is the book. This is the book I'll be reading today. Star Wars Brotherhood. Bro, I'm so excited. The cover looks clean. My favorite character, and the whole thing is Obi-Wan. So I freaking love him. I can't wait. I can't wait till the Kenobi show comes out, which I think is next week. Let me check. I think it's next week. That's why you looking so swole. Nah, I think there's another word for that. I think it's called fat. Thanks, bro. I try. I eat a lot, so I have to negate that by working out a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a gym rat, but I just like working out. Obi Wan is amazing. I freaking bro, he's the best Jedi. I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped for the Disney Plus show that's coming out. I think on the 26th. Let me check my calendar. I think it's next week. I think. Are we in the 19th? Yeah, that shit coming out next week. Oh my god, bro, I'm so excited. So I'm gonna see how much chapters I can get through in this book. Let me just sneak peek. How many chapters are in this book? There is. Oh shit, there's 45. No, wait. There's 52 chapters. Oh dang. All right. So I'll probably have to do a couple of these before because I want to finish this book before the show starts, so people could get like a little background history of the two brothers who are probably gonna duke it off as Obi-Wan and Vader in this show. Which my thoughts is that it's probably gonna end up being a draw in the show because obviously, I mean, they both survive until A New Hope. So, but I think Vader's gonna kick his ass like a good bit during that fight though. Like he's gonna have his vengeance for what happened to him in Episode 3. Oh, excuse me. So I can't wait. Beanie, where you at? Where you at, Beanie? I'm waiting for you. I'm mainly doing this book club for you so you could catch up on the canon because I know you don't have time to read the. There you are. There she is. Is this the right room for the book? You're so dumb. Shut up. Yes, you're in the right room. We're reading Brotherhood today. We're reading Brotherhood. So I was just talking about how hyped I am for the Kenobi show, which you and me are obviously gonna watch it together, and we're probably gonna review the show together. So that'll be fun. But I'm so hyped. So this will give. I mean, you're already caught up, but this will give us even more insight to the brothers before they freaking duke it out as Obi-Wan and Vader. So this should add a lot more context into the disaster that's gonna be Obi-Wan and Vader when they start, trying to beat the crap out of each other. All right, so let's just get started. This book has 52 chapters, by the way. So the show's coming out next week, so I'm probably gonna have to do a couple of these before the show comes out. Next week, I think it's either Wednesday or Friday. I can't remember what they said. So I'll probably do a few of these before the weekend ends. All right, so let's get started. So Star Wars Brotherhood. I won't be reading like continuously. I will take breaks because I want to do at least. We'll see how we go. I say 12 chapters, but we'll see how it goes. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker must stem the tide of the raging Clone Wars and forge a new bond as Jedi Knights. The Clone Wars have begun. Battle lines are being drawn throughout the galaxy. I wish I had the narrator's verse from the Clone Wars TV show. That'd be fun. Every world that joins the Separatists, the peace guarded by the Jedi Order, is slipping through their fingers. After an explosion devastates Keter, the jewel of the Trade Federation, the Republic is blamed and fragile neutrality of the planet is threatened. The Jedi dispatched Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the Order's most gifted diplomatic minds, the Negotiator, to investigate the crime and maintain the balance that has begun to dangerously shift. As Obi-Wan investigates with the help of the heroic Nemoidian Guard, he finds himself working against the Separatists who hope to draw the planet into their conspiracy, and he senses the sinister hand of Asajj Ventress in the mists that cloak the planet. Amid the brewing chaos, Anakin Skywalker rises to the rank of Jedi Knight, despite the mandate that Obi-Wan travel alone and his former master's insistence that he listens this time. Anakin's headstrong determination means that nothing can stop him from crashing the party and bringing along a promising but conflicting youngling. Once a Padawan to Obi-Wan, Anakin now finds himself on equal but uncertain footing with the man who raised him. The lingering friction between them increases the danger for everyone around them. The two knights must learn a new way to work together, and they must learn quickly, to save Keter and its people from the fires of war. To overcome the threat they face, they must grow beyond master and apprentice. They must stand together as brothers. So that's like the little synopsis of the book. You are your own narrator. Thank you. I still wish I had his voice though. So this is the I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember the after they saved the Chancellor in episode 3, Beanie, and then Obi-Wan's like no, Anakin's like, I saved your skin enough for the 10th time, and then Obi-Wan's like, 9th time. That business on Keter Moidia doesn't count. I think this book is gonna explain what that business was, so I'm pretty excited. And I also think this is the first time in the canon timeline that they actually meet Asajj Ventress, so that should be fun. We'll see how they actually meet here for the first time. In the Clone Wars. Alright, so that was the synopsis. So let us go through. One thing I like about these books is that, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I don't know if you can see it. Usually when they come out with these books, they do a nice job of doing the timelines of how chronology order. So this is the High Republic. So 200 years before the Phantom Menace, and you got Attack of the Clones. Then you got, of course, this book and some other books. You got the Clone Wars. So they do a very nice job of doing the timeline, at least the main stuff, in order. So that's always pretty cool. Alright, Star Wars Brotherhood. Alright, here we go. It's another like kind of intro. I'm gonna try my best impression of the narrator's voice. The Clone Wars have erupted. Caught off guard by the quickly expanding conflict, the overwhelmed Jedi have rushed the advancement of Padawans to better integrate into the Grand Army of the Republic and assist the war effort. Newly promoted Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker is increasingly torn between his growing duties to the Republic and his secret marriage to Senator Padme Amidala of Naboo. With his knighting, his mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi has elevated to the Jedi Council under the rank of Jedi Master. As dark forces push the Jedi further toward their transformation from guardians to soldiers, Anakin and Obi-Wan find themselves on equal footing yet opposing paths, each pondering the meaning of peace and justice during a time of war. Shit, that wasn't that bad. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even gonna attempt to do Obi-Wan's impression because I think Ian McGregor's from Scotland, and I will do a terrible Scottish / Britain thing, so I'm not gonna offend him. So I'm not gonna attempt to do his. I think the narrative voice is nice. Thank you. And plus, Beanie knows that when I try to do accents for some reason, my default always slips into Indian, so I'm not gonna do that. All right, chapter 1. Rug Quarnum. Now, Star Wars has a history of funny ass names, so they're gonna put some like not English words in here, so I'm gonna trip up on some. So forgive me ahead of time. Oof, yeah, we know if you do an accent where that's gonna lead. Let me not try to offend anybody on this stream. I'm just gonna read in my voice. But if they have more narrating parts, I'll do the narrating like tone. All right, chapter 1. Rug Quarnum. Cater Moria was a world of mist. High above that mist, cliffs and branches poke through, carved at all angles into immense mountainous spires. The thick stone of the planet's largest rock arches and peaks loomed, casting shadows in a seemingly infinite stretch before being absorbed into the dense vapor below. Between over on top of these natural wonders hung glided cities with ornate towers and their reflective sidings, structures suspended as bridges between massive colossal ridges. But Cater Nemoria did have something beneath all of that, a foundational layer at the base of the thick fog. On normal days, taking the journey from Cater Nemoria's bridge cities to the surface meant a gradual descent into an ever-thickening blank of white. Today, however, was not a normal day, because today something had gone terribly wrong, and the lower the shuttle flew, the more the milky hue of the mist darkened as harsh streams of blackened ash mixed in. Rug Quarnum had seen destruction all her life. As an elite commando of the Nemoidian Defense Legion, she dealt with explosives and blastfire, rockets, and shrapnel, and death. So much death. Oh, that's Star Wars for you. Most of it by her own doing, courtesy of the custom sniper rifle that felt like an extension of her own limbs. Murder and destruction. That was her life for so many years, doing the will of her government to carve out a better place for Nemoidians in the galaxy. This is also another good thing about this book. We've only seen bad Cater Nemoidians, so I think this book will actually show us some good ones. Indian / Americans. Where was I? Yeah. Even now, in her new assignment as a royal guard for Cater Nemoria's capital city of Zarya, her goal remained the same, the protection of her people. Rug had taken the assignment in good faith, even though she knew it had been for questioning the judgment of the Trade Federation. We love the Trade Federation. A perspective considered dissent by those who held much more sway than a military grunt. Such good faith was being challenged right now, in a time when the galaxy dared to rip itself in two. "Look at that," said the voice of her young partner next to her. Qatar Nor's mouth opened, holding a thought in limbo as a thick, dull gray began to envelop their craft. Visibility coming and going from the cockpit of their patrol ship. "It's worse than I imagined." A steady hand and open eyes. And that was the only way to approach this, not only for the flight to the surface, but to understand just what had occurred. And why? The call for all available security to go beneath the mist came so fast that the Rug pilot piloted their craft on a direct downward path, leaving the port of a neighboring city and abandoning a scheduled prisoner transfer to plunge through the mist. They hadn't even been informed of what they were investigating, just that an emergency so catastrophic had occurred that everyone within a 200-kilometer radius was requested. No ordered to drop their task and go. Details filled in over comm chatter. A bomb. No, several bombs. A building collapse. No, an entire plaza. Goddamn. No, despite the speculation on the comms, the reality of the situation became clear with each passing second. And it was far beyond what anyone could have ever guessed. An entire portion of the bridge city, the neighborhood known as Ketashura, blocks and streets of Nemoidian civilization severed within an instant. The structural supports that fastened the district to the rest of the Zara evaporated in a blink. Well, damn, they're not holding back anything in this book. Shit. All of those people, all that life, dropped straight downward through the mist of Keodamoya to a sudden violent fate. Dirt and rock smashing into alloys and flesh. But why? Keodamoya is neutral, Rugg thought. Despite the recent chaos of the Geonosis, despite the use of Trade Federation battle droids, we love our B1s. The war, I know, right? Jesus. The war stayed an arm's length away. Viceroy Newt Gunray, oh, we love that guy, led a splinter faction to ally with the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The Trade Federation proper was free from the influence of Count Dooku and his separatist ideals. Senator Lot Dodd made sure of that with his place within the heart of the Republic politics. But here on the surface, Rugg's eyes told her everything she needed to know. The twisted sharpening of once elegant structures now reduced to cracked and broken material, scattered into countless pieces as their shuttle approached. The devastation amplified with each passing second. What appeared as a lump of rubble gradually formed into the jagged debris of buildings and bridges. Closer still, as Rugg maneuvered the craft for a flat place to land, details came to life. Not just the destruction of structures, but within the fallen wreckage, bodies. So many bodies of so many ages. Damn, this is on like Attack on Titan. From so many walks of life, bodies bent into impossible positions. God damn. Thrown into places they shouldn't have been due to the chaos of gravity pulling an entire district to the surface. And through it all, so much smoke. The massive plume of gray from above breaking down into individual currents of black the farther down they went. Streams feeding a river of death. Rugg stepped out, flecks of ash landing on her dark green skin, and even amid the cool air of the planet's base, heat poked through in every direction from endless fires entwining in and through and over what used to be mighty structures. Who? Kadar started. Swiveling his view all around, he blinked as he took the horrific possibilities, his mouth open. How? Rugg had seen Qatar driven by emotions on the job before. Sometimes anger and sometimes fear could lead to suffering. Had he tried to hide, but he knew better. It came with an innocence, the type that only shattered after killing someone. For better or worse, such actions collude over fear, layers thickening with each successive murder. Yet the frozen expression on his face right now displayed his mix of emotions, clearly a grief stemming from a deeper well that he'd ever let on. Steady, Qatar, she said, moving next to him. From a mound of rubble above, arms waved, along with a cry that someone had been found alive. They need our help. The Republic, Qatar growled, his long fingers bending into a single shaking grip. The Republic did this. They're blaming us for Newt Gunray. We don't know that, and right now it doesn't matter. Which was wrong, of course. The culprit behind this did matter, and whoever they were, they need to be brought to justice. But there was a time and place for retribution. Focus. They called us here to help people. That's what we need to do. Though Qatar faced the team, screaming for help from the top of the rubble, their pleas seemed invisible to him. Instead, he stared blankly ahead like everything was a hologram glitching in and out. But it wasn't. This was real, and any doubt erased by the harsh burning odors entering her smell glands beneath her eyes. Qatar, Rugg said, quietly. You're right, he said, suddenly nodding. His demeanor shifted, his catatonia abruptly swapped for movement with a very swift and direct purpose. The young guard grabbed his bag of medical supplies and ran off, as if a single person with a small case of Bacta and synth flesh might make a difference. Qatar's youth carried an expected naivete and earnest desire to do right by his people. Rugg knew better. An individual had limitations, no matter how dedicated they were. She pulled out a small metallic circle, then clicked a button to generate a holographic map of the region. Around her, other transports landed, medical personnel, security officers, government officials, and people who simply wanted to help. So many of Rug's fellow Nemoidians zigged and zagged, some lifting up debris, some screaming intercoms for help, and some pacing head buried in hands. Droids of all sizes soared, a mix of small surveillance units flying in between larger rescue droids that dropped extinguishing chemicals fire by fire. No matter which direction she turned, her vision filled with devastation, all on a far greater scale than she could ever remember. She understood Qatar's urge to dash off with Bacta, the feeling that one person might be able to somehow fix all of this. In a way, Qatar was right. They had to start somewhere, because even though Kea Moya was neutral, it had been gravely wounded, and someone had to pay. But who? The Jedi. Let's see it. Beanie Moon's reaction. This is edgy as hell. What the F? Bro, the books be like that. Like, most of the books, they're so good at describing shit, especially like Warren and stuff. Like the Clone Wars later in the seasons got more dark as, and mature with its audience. But generally when you think of the Clone Wars like TV shows, like it's like kiddish. But when they describe it like this, you're like, God damn, this shit's terrible. Noah says, listen to this while cooking is a W. I appreciate I can make it day, bro. Free audiobook. Legit. Don't even need to buy. Free on Twitch. That's right. Also, I'ma invite you to some Discord so we can hopefully get you to affiliates so I can then finally drop. Yes, bro. I would appreciate that. Knows, bro, you're the man, dog. Oh my God. No matter what Elden Ring does for me, it led me to you guys. So I mean, I appreciate you, brother. Oh no, my chat froze. Let me refresh. Okay, I'm back. What's up, mate? What's up? We're on chapter 2. Chapter 2, Anakin Skywalker. I did glimpse the last chapter is also named Anakin Skywalker, so this book is going to heavily feature him. Alright, let's get to our favorite space Jesus. Anakin Skywalker stood as he always did, feet planted slightly wider than his hips in a balanced stance, arm behind him with his hands clasped at the small of his back. That's exact, like one thing people say, like when he's Vader, he can't get rid of some of his Anakin mannerisms, because Vader, if you notice in all the movies, Vader stands just like that, so that's a nice little detail. Space Jesus time. That's right, our favorite space Jesus who doesn't like sand. Hand, actually. One of his limbs remained his organic arm, part of the flesh and blood born of Shmi Skywalker, and raised under the unflinching desert suns of Tatooine. Boy, do we love that planet. The other hand was metal and wire and sensors, a synthetic extension that moved nearly but not quite the way he intended. Not perfect yet, but he was getting better at it. And though the textures of the mechanical replacement were so unnatural that he covered it with a glove, his wife never treated its touch as anything but his own. At least in the short time they were able to be together following his duel with Count Dooku. Hey, credit to Padme, bro. Like, this man told her that he murdered men, women, and children and shit, and she's still with him, bro. I mean, if you find a girl like that in real life, man, you won. His wife shouldn't be his wife. Where was she right now? Senator Padme Amidala, always meeting with people or talking with people or talking about people. She returned to Coruscant and was likely headed to the Senate, Palpatine district, a single beacon of hope dashing somewhere through this massive structure of a planet. Anakin closed his eyes while Jedi Master Mace Windu continued to talk to the assembled, the latest group of recently promoted Jedi Knights for 1,000 generations. The Jedi had their tradition of trials and ceremony of ascending rank and recognizing achievement, but that was before Geonosis, before the Clone Wars started, before an oath to be peacekeepers somehow evolved overnight into roles as soldiers, which was the Jedi's first mistakes, and commanders. An overlap the clones themselves couldn't quite comprehend, leading the informal title of general on the battlefield. Anakin always imagined his knighting to be a significant life milestone, a sea change in his heart and mind. Enough time had passed since the official transition that his once short hair had started to grow out, and now this ceremony felt more like a procedural step, a footnote to go along with the bigger issues facing the galaxy. This gathering, filled with ceremony in the shadow of the Jedi Temple training courtyard, seemed simply unimportant, so much so that an urge tugged at Anakin to go, to fast forward to the cadence of the galaxy itself so he could finally reunite with his wife tonight. Oh, sexy time. He had, after all, a keepsake to deliver with a small pouch buckled to his belt. Master Windu walked the perimeter of the courtyard under the shadow of the great tree, Anakin standing with the rest of the new Jedi Knights, while behind them, current Padawans observed. To his left, Urban Wenherd, the Tolatin, boy, these Star Wars words. Urban Wenherd, the Tolatin noble throughout training for her twin Shoto lightsabers. To his right, Kier Stinwit, Olan Cheon, and several others. Across the courtyard stood their mentors, at least the ones available. Morag Bomo, a Keldor with black tunic and blue tinted goggles, Siri Tachi, Ma Duk Risto, and more. And of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, our boy, the other Space Jesus. The newest member of the Jedi Council, sort of. After the loss of the Coleman Trebor at Geonosis, various Jedi rotated into his council position. No one would say if this method was permanent or if the rotations were simply temporary assignments, something born out of necessity given the push and pull of the war. Either way, the council had recently picked Obi-Wan for a rotation. In turn, Obi-Wan approached every task with his usual seriousness, even treating his glorified speech like a war decision. Anakin didn't need the Force to feel the weight of his former master's stare behind his back. Anakin's fingers balled into fists, the synth net neutral interface of the Mechno arm reacting the same way as his real hand did, and yet it didn't. Just as with his organic hand, the mechanical fingers pressed in frustration, but no emotion came from the gesture on that side. No tiny ripple through the Force to yet again give away his feelings to Obi-Wan. This is an angry little boy. It was merely a limb, functional even stronger than flesh and bone, but not a true part of him. "You are Jedi Knights," Master Windu's voice boomed out as he paced back and forth as if to call any waning attention back to his intimidating form. "Responsibility, peace, discipline. You are the example the galaxy looks to. Your success will carry through the Republic and beyond, as will your mistakes. Your choices will matter, helping the Jedi maintain order during the time of discord." The Master paused, his lips pursed in thought. Anakin figured Mace had given a form of this speech several times now since Geonosis, but perhaps this time he tried his hand at improvisation. "The younglings look up to you. Your choices matter to them, and some of you will see Padawans of your own." Mace enunciated each word with heightened diction. "Will matter to them as well." The thought caused Anakin's lip to curl up ever so slightly. A Padawan for him? That sounded like the worst thing in the galaxy. And as if on cue, his eyes caught Obi-Wan looking directly at him. Boy, he ain't gonna regret Ahsoka when he gets there, trust me. Of course, Obi-Wan saw his smirk. Anakin forced his expression back to neutral, then adjusted his posture, pushing his chest out and chin up to uphold Jedi formality. If had been speaking, his voice would have reverted to formal monotone he always used around elder Jedi. "We are at war. This is unprecedented within our lifetimes," Mace Windu continued, "and you are among the first to reach knighthood during this time of war. Remember that war is like a fire across the galaxy. It spreads and it consumes. We must never waver in the face of that fire. We are keepers of the peace. We are Jedi. The Republic needs us more than ever, which means our faith in the Force, our connection to the Force must never waver." Though Mace's face remained stoic and cold, Anakin detected the most unexpected shift coming from him. A single drop in the ocean of the Force. But it rippled outward, and while most probably didn't notice it, Anakin had always found his senses tuned to emotions at a far deeper level than others. Maybe because he actually let himself feel emotions. He reached into the Force for a further understanding of the strange deviation. Was that concern from Mace Windu? But the ripple passed, evaporating as would happen with any Jedi and their emotions. Anakin wanted to shake his head, figuring the moment was nothing more than an extension of Mace's constant disdain for his being there, his very existence. Dang. From the moment Qui-Gon Jinn presented Anakin to debriefing after Geonosis, Master Windu always seemed irked by his presence, like he should not have been there. One time, Anakin caught his look when fellow Padawans mentioned the Chosen One prophecy in jest, of course, and the power of his instant glare felt more deadly than his renowned fighting technique. Anakin rubbed him the wrong way. He always had, and this was probably just another example. Anakin reminded himself to be bigger than that petty moment and pushed it aside. He took in a breath and thought his eyes tracked Mace during the rest of the speech. His mind wandered to his childhood. The ceremony placed out as the opposite of those Tatooine nights when the desert chill would work in its way through the cracks of their worn-down home. Rather than the cold, grand speech amid the Jedi Temple's exquisite designs, he thought of his mother, retelling a story from the umpteenth time in their small hovel. The warmth of her hand enough to reassure his whole body and mind. The sun dragon lives in a side star, guarding everything it loves and treasures, she would say, as she had done at so many times throughout his childhood. Generations of Tatooine dwellers heard the same story told with their own family variation, but his mother's version carried the most feeling. Appropriate for a myth about heart, it guarded them through the fire and flame as always, keeping them safe. It could preserve through anything, even life within a star itself, because the Sun Dragon has the biggest heart in the galaxy, a furnace of flames powerful enough to protect everything and everyone it loves. The strongest heart, stronger than the heart of a star, she told. This poor kid. My mom just said, "You sound like a radio host." I think that's the best comment she gave me. Palp is a great radio host, bro. I appreciate you. And now turning it back to the 80s, music starts playing. Let's travel back to these classics. Enjoy. I know, right? Even with the glasses, it's great. Anakin, this story. What? Oh, she told Anakin this story dozens, possibly hundreds of times when she was growing up. Usually after he got into an argument with Kister, or Watto was unnecessarily cruel, or one of his inventions exploded in his face. He could see her expression now, the way her smile brought lines to frame her mouth, the way her eyes never judged, the way stray hairs fell across her forehead after a long day. Those were the moments she'd always squeeze his hand and look him straight in the eye. You are the Sun Dragon. You have the strongest heart. Always believe in it. Suddenly, the loving face of Shmi Skywalker disappeared from Anakin's mind's eye, replaced with the blistering cool of night, the flicker of flame, the cries of sand people, the smell of blood. All through these thoughts, he stood stoic alongside his fellow Jedi Knights, trying to keep his feelings at bay. Another memory arrived with a surprise, one that draped calm over the open wounds of Tatooine. It echoed, a feeling as real as the moment it first happened. The strong hands of Qui-Gon Jinn on his shoulders, his soothing words whispering in his ears. It wasn't the first time he felt the presence of the fallen Jedi. Whether a flash of deep memory or one of the Force's great tricks in his favor, the presence always recentered him, in a way that Obi-Wan's lectures never did. That sentence, that paragraph right there, pretty much tells us if Qui-Gon didn't die, I don't think Anakin would have turned to the dark side. As much as we love Obi-Wan was not the master for Anakin in the way to like deal with like all his emotions. It is your time to serve the galaxy and the Republic, Mace said. May the Force be with you. The group began clapping as Mace walked off without hesitation to take his place next to Master Yoda. I will attempt to do Master Yoda's voice, because I can do a decent Master Yoda's voice. They all exchanged glances, and Anakin caught a rare moment of confusion from his old teacher. Obi-Wan, able to negotiate and improvise his way out of anything with grace and tact, the negotiator, and now stood flustered because of an apparent scheduling problem. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin thought with an amused sigh, frustrated by protocol and formalities in a time of war. He watched as Obi-Wan ran his fingers through his hair, thick locks flowing to his shoulders, having grown even longer since Geonosis. Damn, the boy sounds sexy. Well, it appears that our guests are a little late, he said, stepping in front of the group. By guests, he referred to Chancellor Palpatine. I made an appearance in the book. Look at me. Various senators and a few of the clone commanders who happened to be on planet, a mixture of ceremony and duty for each of them. I am certain they will be here soon. In the meantime, an electronic chirp rang through the space, something urgent enough for Yoda to wave his hand at the control panel for a holo communication at the far wall. Palpatine did appear. but as a hologram fully in the middle of the courtyard rather than in person. I'm too busy for that shit, bro. And instead of a 2-minute cursory speech about duty, the Chancellor addressed Yoda and Mace specifically, not the gathered invitees. Master Yoda, Master Windu, we have urgent news that's sure to impact the war effort. Kid and Moria have been bombed. Yoda and Mace looked at each other, only their eyes moving. Obi-Wan had a slightly more animated response, at least for a seasoned Jedi. A small inhale, then a hand up to his beard. The others reacted within the range of those extremes. Though the air itself shifted, Yoda tapped his sticks. I'm trying my best Yoda impression. Padawans and younglings, this discussion they do not need. To further study they should go. Obi-Wan moved over to gather, then direct them out, and Anakin took a reflexive step forward until he felt a hand on his shoulder. Obi-Wan spoke, his voice gentler than his usual redirections of Anakin's instincts. Not you. You are a Jedi Knight now, remember? He looked over to the Padawans who had started to leave. We are equals, he said, with a slight and forced smile beneath his beard. Anakin wondered if the gesture's awkward nature was because of the dire circumstance about Kid Moria, or if this old master simply hadn't gotten used to seeing Anakin as something other than an apprentice. Do I have to still call you master? He asked, more bite to his question than it should have had. A flush came to Anakin's cheeks, betraying the muscle memory that wanted to argue with Obi-Wan about rules and fairness no matter what the situation. Only if you know your place, Obi-Wan replied, but this time his smile gave off a genuine glow, almost amusement at their old push and pull relationship. The courtyard cleared of Padawans and the Jedi now gathered in front of the holographic figure of the most powerful man in the Republic. That's right. Bombed, Mace asked Palpatine. How bad? By whom? Intelligence is coming in, but early reports indicate the scope is a larger catastrophe than Kid Moria has been seen in recorded history. It is. As Clone Commander faded into view, I'm sorry to interrupt, Chancellor, but we have further details. Palpatine nodded, and the clone continued. It appears an entire segment of the capital city of Zarya has been severed from the foundational struts. It has completely collapsed. Bro, this book is great. I'm loving it. Also, thank you, Beanie, for the Streamlabs. You know, if you see that, you know, if you donate, I'm trying to go to Galaxy's Edge for my birthday. So those are the tiers in the chat. You know, $50, I'll do a ghost pepper. I'll eat a ghost pepper without any liquids to wash that shit down. That shit is probably gonna kill me. 100, you know, I'll stream. I'll do a long stream. You know, you'll probably even see me sleeping. Not know some people like to see that. 150, I will fight. I will beat Sephiroth. Keyword is beat Sephiroth. Hate that man. And $200, you know, everybody likes to see man in a maid outfits. I don't want to wear it, but you know, if you give me money, that would be great. Nose says, yeah, Qui-Gon was solid father figure. Rather than, yeah, I think, because a lot of if you hear, I think it was one of the like the things they do after they film The Mandalorian. I forgot what they call it, when they sit down. Dave Filoni, which love that guy. He was basically explaining like the duel of the fates is basically a duel for Anakin's fate, and like as much as we love Maul, like he served his purpose. He got rid of the one thing that probably could have stopped Palpatine from getting Anakin, which was Qui-Gon, in my humble opinion, probably. Beanie says, applause, wonderful. I'm assuming you're doing that for my Yoda impression. I think it wasn't bad, right? I think it was pretty good. It was a good impression. True. He can do a pretty good Darth Maul impression when he's feeling it. Oh, I need to hear that. It's mostly when he's going crazy. Yeah, literally, like, when I was playing my friend in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was getting my ass beat, like, I felt so frustrated and, like, crazy. Like, my Darth Maul impression came out. I didn't think I could do it before. It actually came out not that bad. So, apparently, I could do Darth Maul. Before, I could do a really good Palpatine. Like, well, not Palpatine, Darth Sidious, but I kind of lost it. So, I'm trying to get it back again, but Darth Maul is my, but I had to get into that, like, crazy-ass mindset to do Darth Maul. Love that guy, by the way. Alright, Chapter 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love how they have his light. I love how they have his lightsaber as in the chapter. That's pretty cool. Beanie, Darth Maul, me favorite. Listen, Darth Maul he is definitely in my top three. Love that man. The Clone Wars did a fantastic job of making him have depth to him. Now let him rest, Disney. Do not bring him back in anything unless it's like a past story. Keep him dead. He's done resurrecting. Alright, chapter 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan stood side by side with his former Padawan, just as they'd done many times over the past decade, and yet this was different. This felt different. Together, they watched the hollows of Palpatine and the clone commander flicker, alongside intercepted security recordings from Cato Moidia that lacked enough clarity to fully define the scope of the devastation. But for several seconds, Obi-Wan ignored galactic catastrophes and instead thought of Anakin, who stood quiet with arms behind his back, his usual commanding stance with intense eyes taking in the unfolding conflict. A powerful Jedi, an intense heart, an uncontrollable impulse. All of those things were central to Anakin's beings, and now an equal, his Padawan braid severed. But more than the symbolism of his braid, Anakin's emotional transition to Jedi Knight was proving rougher than Obi-Wan expected. Rather than a simple flick of a mental switch, Anakin seemed to take several steps forward toward confident decisions making before skirting back into deference. Anakin Skywalker seemed unsure of where his place was, which was quite unlike him, given all the arguing they'd done for years. All those times Anakin insisted he was right. Perhaps the war muddled those waters. He thought back to his own early days, his ascension into Jedi Knighthood, counterbalanced by the loss of Qui-Gon Jinn, and while his peers seemed to take their promotion in stride, his own circumstances created so many stumbling blocks. How long did it take for him to feel like he'd earned the title? And now that he was given an opportunity to sit on the Jedi Council, how could his input possibly carry the same insight and weight as that of more experienced Jedi Masters? A memory flooded through Obi-Wan's mind, an exchange with his former master. He hadn't thought of it in nearly a decade. Don't center on your anxieties, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan exhaled and felt the ground beneath his feet, returning to here and now. Early estimates put the death toll at 4,000. Based on daily traffic of the Katasura district, the clone said. The bridge held important political targets, including the Trade Federation licensing office, but it also housed an arts district with numerous commercial buildings. I'm afraid the civilian casualty toll is high. Palpatine's holographic visage flickered as the Chancellor frowned. Understood. Thank you for the report, Commander. Yoda stepped forward. Neutral, Cato Moidia is. No reason for military targeting. Work with all sides, the Trade Federation does. Obi-Wan considered the recent tactical report he'd seen on the splinter faction led by Newt Gunray, one that Lot Dodd claimed was completely disconnected from the Trade Federation. Has Senator Dodd been informed? Palpatine nodded. He is just outside of communication range, but as I understand, he is aware of the situation. Yoda's stick tapped the floor. Insight our new Jedi Knights have. Obi-Wan caught Anakin's eye dropping, as well as the short inhale that he quickly swallowed. Could loyalists from the Republic have guerrilla fighters who went rogue? Kier Snort said, and though her voice projected confidence, she glanced at her mentor, Ma Dok Risto, who offered a subtle nod in return. Bounty hunters. Der Urban Winherd offered. War always drives their economics. It could be a coordinated effort to create demand for their services. Perhaps, Yoda said. Perhaps a true accident this is. A separatist trick, Anakin finally interjected. The gravity of seriousness in his voice, a ploy to gain sympathies. The Moyans are unscrupulous cowards. The judge in his voice caught Obi-Wan's attention. Though given his long, volatile history with them, it wasn't that surprising. That seems counterproductive, even for Newt Gunray. He would not sacrifice a civilian population of his own people, May said, his glare strong enough for Obi-Wan to feel from several meters away. Anakin inhaled to retort, but then caught eyes with Obi-Wan again, and that mere thread of connection seemed to be enough to halt the young Jedi's impulses. Yoda shook his head, his ears trembling with movement. Possibilities war has created, the old Jedi Master said, a rare disgust in his words. Points of view distorted. The scope of Clone Wars beyond the peacekeeping tradition of the Jedi. Anakin straightened, turning back to the hologram of Palpatine, who looked off to the side before nodding and continuing. Count Dooku appears to be making a statement right now. And with that, the fallen Jedi appeared alone, his regal maroon cape, man, I love his cape, over his shoulders as he stood in what was apparently a small office in his Sereno home. The feed caught him mid-sentence, though his tone and words quickly filled in the blanks. Act of terrorism. As the primary representative of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, I ensure that the Trade Federation and the citizens of Caledonia, we have no involvement in such senseless violence. What a freaking liar. We condemn such things, and our relationship with the Trade Federation is, and as it always been, merely transactional in nature. However, we make no secret that Viceroy Newt Gunray and his associates are key officials of our movement. Emotion surged from Anakin, a tangible wave at the mention of the Trade Federation Viceroy. Obi-Wan observed his former apprentice from the way his shoulders locked to the tightening of his jaw. A tension that came and went quickly, but not as quick as most Jedi. I think the evidence is clear. The Republic targeted Newt Gunray, who was visiting the Kadasura district a mere hour before the bombing. Had the Viceroy stopped to enjoy the cuisine of his people or to take in the local museum to immerse himself in the culture he dearly misses, he would have been killed, bro. Dooku really knows how to spin some shit, bro. I'll just insult you to death on Elden Ring and get you mad. Elden Ring would be a game where I would start talking. I might start talking like Darth Maul over Elden Ring streams. Oh, dreams, I would definitely do it. Oh, shit. Dooku straightened, his unblinking eyes looking straight into the cam, piercing the distance from Sereno to Coruscant. But despite this mountain of evidence against the Republic, I am nothing if not honorable. I invite the Republic to explain this action. I will stay away to avoid any perception of conflict. After all, the Trade Federation is a neutral entity and should be allowed to pass judgment using their own system of justice. For the Republic to truly be open to discussion of such a catastrophic event, it seems only right that Chancellor Palpatine himself go to Caledonia. The mere suggestion caused a ripple through the space, from Anakin's suddenly tense fist to Mace's furrowed brow. Next to Dooku's hologram, Palpatine's translucent image flickered, though the shock of his face broadcast clearly to all watching. Such an action would be a remarkable gesture, Dooku said with a smile, in the name of transparency. Yoda turned as Dooku's feed broke apart, the account of Sereno's image quickly disappearing. Discuss further, we will. Facts must be gathered. The Senate we need. No, Palpatine said, his mouth weary. There is no time for Senate deliberation. I will go. I must leave as soon as possible. Every second counts. Without my presence, Dooku may sway the Trade Federation's allegiance to the Separatists. They are far too important a galactic power to let that happen. Bro, freaking Palpatine, bro, he must be a wizard chess. My shit he's doing. I'll go with you, Anakin said. A clone battalion if he goes, Mace said. The Chancellor needs the highest level of security. Palpatine, bro, I wish that, bro, if they only knew, bro, give him the least amount of security. Let him use his force powers and we'll see. Palpatine flying off the scene of a disaster in a neutral world. Not just a neutral world, but the crown jewel of the Trade Federation. The same organization with ties to Newt Gunray. Obi-Wan shook his head, and in a rare moment of letting his impulses break through, he spoke without a fully considered plan. Chancellor, you must not go. It's a trap. Dooku is playing us. All eyes suddenly turned to Obi-Wan, and now he had to coalesce those impulses with clear thoughts, with the fate of the galaxy at stake. Dooku wants you arriving in a hostile environment, a no-win situation. Think about the optics. This planet is in a state of shock. Its people are mourning. If the Chancellor arrives with troops and the Jedi and the fleet, it will at best heighten tensions. At worst, it could lead to violence, all while leaving him vulnerable to sabotage. Master Kenobi, I understand your concerns, but this is a risk I must take, Palpatine said, a solemn growl to his voice. I will do anything to put a swift end to this war. Yeah? Obi-Wan shook his head again, mind sprinting for a solution that would pull Palpatine back from the immediate departure. A lone Jedi, a single emissary with a small crew of scientists and investigators, representing the good faith of the Republic. As Palpatine's eyebrow arched up, Yoda let out an audible "Hmm." It is the best balance of diplomacy, transparency, and investigation. A Jedi has the training to uncover the truth, the autonomy to make decisions, the ability to move quickly, and the authority to represent the Republic, Obi-Wan said. The words come out so rapidly that he needed a large breath. We are peacekeepers. Even the Trade Federation knows that. Peacekeepers, Palpatine said, a slight smile to his lips. I am not entirely convinced this will work. Bro, Palpatine is such a bitch. Freaking love it. What is it? When you hit affiliate, please make Yoda voice impression a thing. Am I doing a very good job right now? Good old Palpatine. In my head, because I can hear in my head, but I'm not sure if it's coming out as good I hear in my head as it is on camera, even though I can hear my voice. To me, yes. Alright, perfect. I should make that, yeah. When I become affiliate, I'll make like the Master Yoda voice a thing. So it looks like I got another voice I could do. Knows would agree to. Yo, I am Master Yoda in this bitch. Alright, where did I leave off? Okay. Bro, I love that Palpatine, he's just being real sly about it. Okay. Master Kenobi, if you convince the Kademoya government that the Trade Federation before that, then I will concede to you. One day, Obi-Wan nodded, then looked around the courtyard. Palpatine, Yoda, Mace Windu, Anakin, they all watched him. I will come up with a strategy to present within one day. In the meantime, Mace said, we will discuss potential security measures for the Chancellor with the Senate. We must be prepared for both paths. Palpatine looked off cam again, then spoke a few audible words. Oh, sorry, the pages are stuck. Have further issues to attend to, but I look forward to your findings, Master Kenobi. We must move quickly. Oh boy, Palpatine. He's always been a sly one. I know, right? Like his little smirks, because he, like the minute the Jedi were entered the Clone Wars, he's like, you guys fucking lost. Like that's it. Freaking page flipping ASMR. This would be the whole stream. Alright. The Kudasera disaster stole the gathering's sense of ceremony. Though when the meeting adjourned, Obi-Wan had hoped to express his pride to Anakin, and given the importance of the milestone, he figured his old Padawan would have wanted to have a moment together. But Anakin left so fast that Obi-Wan only caught the blur of his dark cloak on the way out. Thoughts stirred in his mind. War commitments keeping their relationship distant in the short span following the promotion. He held on to so many questions for Anakin, waiting for a quiet moment. Was his new arm working for him? Did he have any questions about the responsibilities that came with becoming a Jedi Knight? What really happened on Tatooine? But between the rapidly changing intel on the Separatist insurgencies and the sheer chaos of synthesizing military battalions into the long-standing traditions of the Jedi Order, Obi-Wan and Anakin barely had time to breathe, let alone have a talk. Obi-Wan followed the trail of his former apprentice, hustling from the courtyard to the interior. Then down the steps over to one of the Jedi Temple's wide hallways, he kept pace, though he never got too close, a range that put him in plain sight just in case Anakin decided to slow down and turn around. But when it became clear that Anakin's pace was actually increasing, he reminded himself to let go of that personal desire to catch up. Anakin would come find him when he was good and ready. Besides, the catastrophe on Kayla Moida remained his top priority, and the fallout from it meant all sorts of complications. Not just for the Jedi, but for every system, faction, and government somehow connected to the war. He just had to find a way and start untangling it all. You may call this an entanglement. Always on the move. That is very true. Now we're getting more insight into that when he says that. That's funny. I didn't even think about that. Obi-Wan was about to break left toward the stairway leading to the Jedi archives when he saw Anakin pause down the hall. Despite the distance, he recognized Anakin's body language, and the shift proved massive enough that it stole Obi-Wan's thoughts from the war. Anakin, so bold in his determination, usually walked with his weight carrying him forward, nearly leaning ahead as if he were chasing the future. But here, Anakin stopped and his entire body softened, and from the way he held his shoulders to the way his arms hung, his head turned waiting, and Anakin's smile grew so large that Obi-Wan saw it across the hall. Then he understood why. Dashing across to meet him was Padme Amidala, trailed by a handmaiden and one of the Naboo's security, a woman Obi-Wan recognized as Merrick Panaka. The senator marched directly wearing a flowing maroon dress with dark navy trim, a simply bronze headpiece holding her hair tightly in a bun. She took even and controlled steps, presenting the opposite of Anakin's hurried gait, but the same straight path like magnets hurtling through space to lock into each other. He had heard Padme had been visiting the capital planet on Senate business for a few days, though all senators had been on Coruscant more often than not in the weeks following Geonosis. As much as the Jedi shuffled around the galaxy these days, senators seemingly had withdrawn to the core, dealing with the hows and whys of a potential civil war while the Jedi commanded clone troopers. Padme's proximity wasn't much of a surprise, but her stop at the Jedi Temple was a little out of the norm. Unless she planned on attending the courtyard ceremony for the newly promoted Jedi Knights, it may have been as simple as that, given her history with Anakin, a show of respect and gratitude, something thrown off course by the news of Keira Moya. As for Anakin, well, Obi-Wan had known of his former Padawan's infatuation with the senator for a while now. He understood that having handled his own youthful brush with temptation, most likely talking about what's her face from Mandalore, oh my god, I can't remember her name now. Her name escapes me. One of the few things that still made him equally chuckle and groan when he thought of it. At least he let the memories drift away into the distance, knowing that he'd float. Oh, Duchess Satine, that's her name. Duchess Satine. That's what he was talking about right now. Knowing they float back ashore at some point. But here, Anakin's greeting, though stilted and formal, rippled a wave of emotion through the Force, a very specific frequency that Obi-Wan recognized as everything he knew about Anakin consolidated into a flash. Damn, this boy is not good at hiding his lust for Padme. What is it? No says yes at being with Star Wars impressions as point redeems. W idea. Can't be giving these impressions out for free. I know, right? Curiosity, adoration, joy, anxiety, fear, all of those rippled off Anakin, but above all came something far more dangerous. Passion. That's right. Peace is a lie. There's only passion. And passion was a liability, even during normal Jedi operations, but infinitely more so in the context of war. He expected the senator to go on her way, a short greeting before off to official business. He also expected Anakin to hesitate a second too long, that boyish infatuation pulling his attention more than it should be before his sense of duty returned. Instead, they stood there, a careful distance apart to be sure, but something was markedly different here. Not that long ago, Padme had practically brushed Anakin aside when they arrived in her apartment following the assassination attempt, right before Geonosis. Yet here, though they held an air of formality between them, they clearly engaged with each other. The senator, known for giving impassioned speeches, for his sharp observational skills, for ability to find a constructive path forward, was lingering to talk with a Jedi known for never slowing down, whether in a speeder or on foot or by any other means. But here they were, talking politely, smiling at each other. Padme even took a quick glance around her, a subtle move that no one would notice up close, but it clearly stood out from above, especially because for the briefest of moments, her bodyguard looked off at something in the distance. She reached up, a quick torch at the spot behind his ears where his Padawan braid had been. Then, as if the gesture flipped a switch in her, Padme's pose tightened, her chest and shoulders suddenly taller despite her small frame. Anakin too reached, but not with the expected embarrassment from such a close interaction with the object of one's infatuation, but rather a scan to either side, similar to Padme's yet nowhere near as subtle. He soon matched her, returning into a strong stance, though towered over her in height, the air of softness surrounded him, and another short conversation passed, words too quiet for even a dedicated observer to pick up. Despite this turn to buckled down formality, Anakin's bare emotions continued rippling outward. Even as though they parted ways, Anakin's feelings left a wake in the Force, a clear silhouette of his presence, something that probably only Obi-Wan would recognize. Far too often, Anakin let his emotions dictate the situation, the tempering from Jedi training working only as a leash to the impulses that still ruled his actions. But anything that let a Jedi's guard down for even a moment put the Republic at risk, especially one as powerful as Anakin Skywalker, especially one prophesied to be the chosen one, to bring balance to the Force. And Padme, rather than dismissing it as she'd done in her apartment not too long ago, had amplified their connection. What to make of all of this? She was letting Anakin indulge in his infatuation, though to what degree, Obi-Wan couldn't tell, but there was more to it, and Obi-Wan wasn't sure if he wanted to know where it led. That's very true. A lot, like, people blame Anakin and shit. A lot of this is Padme's fault as well. Like, Padme could have been like, bro, like, I'm seeing what, like, connection to you. This is not good, but Padme let that shit happen, too. So it's also Padme's fault. People gotta remember that shit. BD ooh la la. The freaking romance story. Yo, Mr. Tape, can you read in a deeper voice? I will try. We read like Vader? Where was I? Bro, this shit, I ain't gonna lie. This shit is saucy, bro. Alright. Oh, yeah. Oh, the short word escaped him, an expression as unexpected as what he just witnessed. He continued watching Anakin, who took a moment to gather himself before stopping to talk with Jaro Tapal and the red-haired youngling who trailed him. Who is Jaro Tapal again? I think that was the old one. And though they talked longer than he did with the senator, no similar feelings projected from him. Not in Anakin's body language, nor in his connection to the Force. Oh, hello, Master Kenobi, Padme said with a quick wave. Is the Chancellor still there? Obi-Wan must have been so lost in watching Anakin that he completely missed Padme making her way up the stairs to his location. She stood still, and both her handmaid and her bodyguard waited equally spaced from her, nearly a precise triangle formation. He nodded to greet the trio, then considered how to answer. He attended the ceremony by a holoconference, but the topic changed quickly. Because of Keda Moidia. Because of Keda Moidia? Thank you, she said, a simple and efficient acknowledgement. Obi-Wan gave another quick nod, still in the same spot as she moved quickly past to connect with the Senator Bail Organa across the hallway. It seemed that many senators were suddenly interested in visiting the Jedi Temple, but galactic disaster would do that, especially when Count Dooku publicly goaded the Republic into sending someone to the site of the bombing, possibly even its leader. Obi-Wan shook the mixture of doubts and concern from his mind, and the question of Anakin's motives pulling him away from the task at hand, though he reminded himself that something like this might not resolve immediately or could resolve on its own. It might even require a conversation with Anakin. But right now the Republic was at war. The Jedi had to intervene, and if he wanted to prevent Palpatine from falling into Dooku's trap, he needed to convince Keda Moidia to accept a Jedi emissary rather than the Chancellor. Obi-Wan let go of his feelings and started toward the Jedi archives. Damn. I wonder if I wonder how Qui-Gon would handle that situation. Bean says, welcome to the book club. Did you bring your Star Wars Brotherhood book? Yeah, did you, Mr. Tape? Did you? I didn't know we had book club today. I was on my way to the gym when I saw Palpy streaming. I'll make sure to get caught up next meeting. Yeah, I was supposed to do it last week, but I woke up late, and plus my Arsenal was playing last week, so I decided to just watch that instead. But yeah, usually on Thursdays. Well, I say usually Thursdays, but in this case for this book, because the Kenobi show is coming up soon. I'm probably gonna do it like multiple times during the week just to try to finish it before the show comes out, or during like the first 2 episodes. So yeah, but usually the book club will be Thursdays. It's alright, man. Getting those gains are just as important. That's true. Get those gains, man. Palpatine show, yo. Bro, oh my god. Maybe I'm just trying to put it into existence. There's a show called The Acolyte, but that's like 100 years before the Phantom Menace. I don't think he'll be born yet. We might see his master, but I don't think we'll see Palpatine. But Disney, give us a freaking Palpatine show, bro. We want a Palpatine show. Do it, young Palpatine. Oh, I think every one of these chapters is just named Obi-Wan and Anakin. Let me check. Oh yeah, all these chapters is named Obi-Wan, Anakin, and the Nemoidian. Okay, cool. Do it. Give me a show. I deserve it. Oh, face my wrath. Chapter 4, Anakin Skywalker. Anakin had seen this before. In fact, so many times, the backdrop was always different. In some cases, under the overwhelming harsh suns of Tatooine skies, and in other cases, in the deep vacuum of space. The experience, though, that had always remained true. Speed, lights, obstacles, turns, and G-forces. Whether in a pod racer, in a Jedi Knight, we love pod racing, a Jedi Starfighter, or zipping between buildings on a speeder, or here where a few Republic credits to a group known only as the Family gained access to speeder racetracks through abandoned sectors of Coruscant underworld. Now nothing but industrial fossils, structures, and piping and lights that blinked for decades and will probably blink long after the war ended. Paying to use a family track during non-racing night was something Anakin dreamed about ever since hearing rumors of their existence, and though somewhere in the stretches of space, clone battalions fought battle droids and emergency medical personnel tried to save lives on Nemoidia, for one night Anakin shut it all out to be with his wife. His wife. He's very possessive, this Space Jesus. Very possessive. Such a thought, such a definition still seemed unreal to him. Bro, I can't believe Padme let this shit happen, bro. Bro, come on, Padme. You're supposed to be the smart one in this relationship. Though it felt like another lifetime, only recently Padme had been a near stranger, someone he'd catch glimpses of as she moved in and around Coruscant, or on the HoloNet. He dreamed of her, and then he tried to push those dreams aside. And then Naboo happened, and Geonosis, and Tatooine, now married. They'd barely seen each other since that secret ceremony and their short few days stolen away together. The duties of a Jedi and a politician pulling them all over the galaxy, leaving their marriage mostly as a spiritual bond. They'd send encrypted transmissions whenever possible, their conversations timed against the unpredictable formalities of war and duty. But even though he felt like their relationship was a dream, the most impossible and wonderful dream, except she came back to him, or he came back to her. Not just hollows expressing how desperately they miss each other, but tangible feelings and real touches that made it all not a dream. And that amplified everything in him, making every moment even more precious. All of the good and bad held tightly as if they were the only things that mattered, even in a time of war. Yet in this speeder, as they hurtled through the depths of Coruscant on a highly illegal and very dangerous makeshift course, this was supposed to be their first time together since he achieved the rank of Jedi Knight. Their chance meeting in the Jedi Temple caught him off guard, and it took all of his discipline to not throw his arms around her, to freeze the time and space around them so he could feel the weight of her body against his. Damn, this boy horny as shit. But tonight, though, he claimed to take a walk to focus his thoughts. The truth was he and Padme had planned ahead of this, not just for a few evenings out together when their time overlaps on the capital planet, but in the lower levels where no one would care enough to notice them, a place where they pledged not to talk about politics or the war, or Cater Nemoidia. Though she'd agreed to this activity and paid for the speeder rental, it became clear as Anakin pushed the throttle forward into a near vertical dive that she didn't live and breathe the same speed. She didn't live and breathe speed the same way he did, even though he had some pounding experience herself. I should have sent Dorme for this, she yelled over the whipping wind, her cowl blowing off her hair. Had she come out in any of her usual embellished stylings, the sheer velocity of the joyride would have ripped it all apart. But here she wore an unassuming outfit, dark trousers and a muted green cowl that easily blended with the surroundings, and it matched his own, a simple mechanic's coat draped over his Jedi tunic to give the appearance of an everyday laborer and not a Jedi Knight. Anakin hit the final turn, easing up on the throttle to make the back end drift and the angle of the glide, providing momentum so that a quick burst of the speeder's booster fired them just through the narrow space. What happened? Do it. My wife. This is my wife. Don't touch her. Their relationship is going to end hot. Oh my damn, Mr. Tape. If Anakin heard you made that joke, he would have force choked your ass. Oh my god. It ended on fire. Alright. I'm taking it easy, he said with a laugh. A final drop over the ledge that earned a scream turn laugh from Padme before slamming the vertical boosters, cushioning the descent like a floating cloud made of metal and wire and alloys, like his arm. Anakin pushed the thought aside, then reached into the Force with his senses, like sonar through the ether to identify where the path narrowed and twisted, even where previous racers lost control and crashed. He hit the brakes to drift into a twist, a series of controlled flips. He didn't spin? Dang. You know what I say about spinning? It's a good trick. And dies before finally breaking past the uncontested finish line. The speeder stopped, both Anakin and Padme lurching forward before slamming back into the seats. Woo, he said before looking at his wife. This was, I love how they always he has to say, like he has to make sure that he has to say, my wife. This was Padme Amidala, who stared down certain death on Geonosis and charged forward with a blaster to reclaim her planet from nuke gunnery. Yet here was breathing heavily with wide eyes and a hand across her chest. I'm so sorry, Anakin started. Are you okay? Was that too much? Was I? Sudden laughter echoed out in the industrial bones around them. Anakin, she said, her voice broke up in the laughter before she playfully smacked him across the shoulder. That was exhilarating, and I never want to do it again. He joined her in laughter and then leaned over, bringing them face to face. She reached out and took his hand, his mechanical hand, and the same way she held it during their wedding ceremony. Her eyes broke, looking down at the interlace between her fingers and his black glove. The pressure of her hold translated from electric synapses into the nerve endings on the remaining stump of his organic arm. Not too long ago, a mere look from her would make the hairs on that arm stand on end. Now such a thing was impossible. He squeezed her hand back, the microsecond of a difference in sensation between his natural movement and his mechanical replacement still throwing him off. Different from combat or illegal racing, where pure instinct and enhanced sensory intake of the Force tried to compensate. But here, in a quiet moment with his wife, at the start of a marriage as sudden as the replacement of his arm, a microsecond felt like hours. That doesn't bother me, Padme said, placing her other hand over his glove. It never will. I know, it's just something I'm not totally used to yet. It's part of you. Besides, she offered a smaller, more intimate laugh. Then seconds later, you drove the speeder just fine. She leaned forward, pressing her lips against his. His sensations he burned for during all those hours on the cruisers and shuttle. When the hum of a lightsaber and the chatter of clone commanders stole his attention, he leaned into their hands, and releasing the roam elsewhere, leaving them in a timeless space where only they existed. Oh, smoochy in the underworld. Wife gone. Think about wife. Bro, so all the times he's like with Captain Rex, he's just like, what's Padme doing right now? What's she cooking? Until the mechanized voice of a droid interrupted. Is it D4? Is it us? No, it's not D4. The family appreciates your business, said BS-1119, the bouncer droid that looked like a reconfigured HK assassin unit. Anakin looked up to see it approaching, twin pistols hanging from holsters, bolting onto its mechanical hips, and a single pointing finger indicating that they should leave. Despite its threatening demeanor, the droid came off as an overly politely, probably a quirk of a program balancing security and business needs. You are welcome to schedule another practice ride through one of the family's industrial courses. In addition, bets are open for upcoming races. From beyond floating law enforcement droid scan and BS-1119 flipped a switch on a nearby control panel on a nondescript wall. This track is closed. Please pilot your vehicles elsewhere. You must leave now. It'd probably be in bad taste for a Saren and a Jedi to be caught down here, Anakin said. Padme grinned and sat back in her seat. Let's grab something to eat instead of getting arrested. That sounds like a good idea. Bro, Anakin wanted that poom poom, bro. It's the one horny Jedi Knight. Husband and wife. Bro, we get it. You're married. What a strange thought. Despite their marriage, their lives... Bro, this book... Yes, they are married. We get that. Despite their marriage, their lives had prevented them from living as such. What with Padme handling things like the situation with Hebeker Minor and Anakin bouncing around the galaxy performing as a mix of a warrior, guard, medic, and delivery person. Married couples did things like take walks, go shopping, have dinner, not fight a war or negotiate peace, and then collide for several hours because their schedules allowed for it. I mean, that sounds like a pretty awesome marriage if you ask me. If Master Chief can get it, he can too. Yeah, but if Master Chief loses his shit, I don't think, the galaxy will be on watch. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. A sudden frustration burned with Anakin, lashing at the galaxy for keeping them apart. But even their joyride a few moments ago acted as a reminder. His body, his mind, his heart were committed to a life of adventure as much as a life with her. Perhaps if Qui-Gon had never found him on Tatooine, he would have been on a pod racer circuit now, or have found a life with some other dangerous recreation. Would his mother still be there in that life? But that question led to a dark path of further questions. He buried it deep, locking that night away and reminding himself that he was here with Padme, in a strange life that intermixed combat and justice with quiet moments as husband and wife. He just wished he could pick and choose when each occurred. I don't think you need a disguise, Padme said, her weight leaning into him as they walked forward into the marketplace. Without your Padawan braid, no one's going to recognize you. Oh, it always got in the way. I don't miss it. Did I tell you when a stray blaster bolt singed it? That moment from earlier today at the Jedi Temple, when she reached up and touched the spot where it had once hung behind his ear. They'd seen each other over the hall recently, but that unexpected moment was like the Force challenging them to put on their best fronts. Anakin caught her scanning around before making the move. Then the tilted smile that sneaked through, a private acknowledgement that they were pushing the boundaries of their existence in the place with the highest of risks. It made him burn even more. Oh boy. I'm actually going to miss your short hair, she said, reaching over to run her hand through hair that had started to grow past the standard Padawan trim. It was always so nice and neat. Maybe I'll just grow it out to annoy you. Have you seen how Obi-Wan's hair flows in the back? He said. The beautiful freaking mullet. Star Wars, but it's just pod racing. No, please, anything but that, she said, prompting. I didn't reckon he did kind of grow his hair out like Obi-Wan. Now that I think about it. No, please, anything but that, she said, prompting both of them to break into laughter. He'd heard that the underworld's residents were too mired in their own circumstances to be aware of the greater conflicts of the galaxy, and right now he understood it. With the layers of structures too dense to reveal the sun, life felt encapsulated in a bubble here. In some cases, that might be claustrophobic, but right now it meant nothing could touch their existence, not war, not politics, not the rules of the Jedi. They could just be, because this was as close to those moments by the lake on Naboo as they were going to get for now. They walked amid the glowing neon, a mix of signage and cheap functional illumination, silence suddenly as natural as breathing. He soaked in the easy joys of just existing next to each other, without guards or hollows or fear that something would pull one of them away. They made it their destination, a large arching sign proclaiming Eumedes Market, a place that even the more cultured among Coruscant's surface dwellers would brave for a more authentic culinary experience. Rows of stalls and a few deactivated transport speeders stood, each offering a different level of messy but authentic delicacies from all over the galaxy. Yet even in this context where they had the space to simply be and enjoy each other's company, he saw that she still observed. It came in the smallest of personal ticks, the way her inhale quickened, the way her eyebrow rose, the way her head turned to change her angle ever so slightly. He saw the marketplace a confluence of individual culture and industrial underbelly, but he knew her mind. While she was all that as well, Padme framed everything within the specific circumstances of who she saw. Not just the cook at the grill, but how a child was at his feet. Not just the artist selling wares, but how the size of her bag showed that she didn't even have a permanent home. Not just the masseuse working on a client on a chair, but how the masseuse had to support the broken chair with additional spare parts instead of simply purchasing a new one. These details escaped Anakin at least until he tried to process things the way his wife did. The Jedi were selfless, giving themselves to an order committed to intergalactic peace. But Padme was selfless in a much different way, an empathy that drilled down to the well-being of whoever she encountered. Something tempered with a drive to constructively find a way to fix it. Passion tempered by calculated action, the opposite of Anakin's own sun dragon heart. They paused, Padme pulling back her cowl and kneeling down to smell the flowers sticking out of the small vendor cart. And even then he knew she considered the vendor situation, from the creakiness of the old droid watering the bouquets to the flower stand that had been clearly rewelded so many times it sagged. Perhaps that was why when they were meant for each other, Anakin acting like a fiery burst against injustice, while Padme brought a relentless to any situation, a constant search for a solution, even in the most dire of circumstances. Passion and purpose, locked together forever in a delicate balance. Oh, not forever. What do you think? Padme asked, putting a purple flower with the glowing tail crystals over her ear. I thought we were staying inconspicuous. You, she said, tucking a matching flower into the breast pocket of his coat, are not a Jedi Knight, and I am not a senator. We're just a married couple having dinner. She gestured around, and he noticed that several other couples had donned matching flowers as well. Of course she would scout this out first. Yeah, he said, locking elbows with her, just like any other married couple. She rested her head on his shoulder, and the glow of her flower tinted her face. Passion and purpose indeed. Come on, she said, pulling away and taking his hand. There's something I want to show you. This is not good rated R, you know. Chapter 5. Back to our boy Obi-Wan Kenobi. All the knowledge in the known galaxy lived in the Jedi archives, so if it's not there, it does not exist. So searching Cato the Moria should have been easy, but even though Obi-Wan shifted through details like topography, climate, planetary rotation, garment structure, and cultural tendencies, none of that seemed to really provide any particular insight as to how he might convince the Trade Federation to accept a Jedi instead of Palpatine. Tutorials on speaking Pac? Republic-generated simulations using data obtained via clone intelligence, and a complete history of the Trade Federation were all part of his hours of study. Yet he didn't feel any closer to actually discovering the insight that might break through prejudices on both sides. Methodically shifting through the data would do as much good as sitting through there worrying about Anakin. Instead, Obi-Wan tried a different tactic. He simply questioned that he'd relied from time to time over the past decade, and perhaps not enough. How would Qui-Gon Jinn approach the Cato the Moria situation? That led him to moving swiftly to the archive exit. Jocasta knew, our favorite librarian, barely acknowledging him, though her assistant Nuxie Kell, who had an answer for every single question he presented, did offer a nod and a wave on his way out. A short time later, he arrived under the lit buildings of Coruscant's evening at the Cocoa District, heading straight toward an establishment that he'd last visited during a seemingly much more innocent time. Don't you Jedi ever sleep? Jester. Oh yes, our favorite four-armed man in the diner. Voice rang out from behind the counter even before Obi-Wan fully stepped into the empty diner. Only a waitress droid run around to wipe the counters. Not when there's war going on, Obi-Wan's boots squeaked on the still dampened tilled floor. A war you started, by the way. The kitchen's double doors flew open as Dex squeezed through. blotches of sauce and grease stains on his shirt as his upper left hand draped a towel over his shoulder. Dex glanced around the space, then behind him. Hate to break it to you, but those clones were already there. Whether or not you went to Camino, no customers, huh? No, which is good because I need you to be discreet. A dart that looks like a children's toy is one thing. Obi-Wan held up a data pad and a holo projector. This requires more care. Discreet, Dex laughed. I was the biggest information broker across the core world for years. You think I don't know how to be discreet? Not you, Obi-Wan said, going to the bar stool where Dex pointed. Dex settled in across from it, leaning with his top elbows planted while his bottom two hung loose. They don't teach black market precautions at the Jedi Temple. Admit it, Obi-Wan, you just want to make an old man cook one more dish for the night. Obi-Wan sat down adjusting his cloak so it didn't catch. You caught me. Your food is always better in the temple refectories. Though don't tell Master Yoda I said that. You're in luck, he whistled. Plate it for two, he called to the back. Several clangs later, one of the waitress droids rolled through the double doors, a tray balanced on her head. Good timing, I'm just having my close time dinner. One for the Jedi, one for you, boss, then droid said, the words laced with sass. Thanks, Wanda. The droid's name is Wanda. Diner was a relative term, as it looked like Dex's staff simply dumped the day's leftover cake onto plates. The bulk of the 6-layer cake slices went on Dex's plate, though Wanda did put a single piece on Obi-Wan's plate. Warm them up for you, sweetie, the droid said before rolling off. Dessert for dinner? For dessert for dinner? Obi-Wan asked with a laugh. That'll kill you. Heavy proteins for midday dinner. Heavy sugars for closing time dinner. You're telling me you don't know basic Basilic physiology? Dex asked, wiping a dab of white cream from the side of his mouth. Sounds like an excuse to eat leftover cake. Or perhaps just that, Dex said, soon followed by his low, throaty laugh. The boss does this every night, Wanda chirped in from the back. Says it's better than letting the cake expire. That the sound of logic of an efficient businessman by now. Dex had eaten 2 of the 6 pieces on his plate. Obi-Wan decided to be a little more restrained, taking a single bite of the top layer of orange-colored shavings. So what can I do for you? Dex asked between bites. Need me to find more clones? Not unless you're looking to add to your wait staff here. Obi-Wan tapped the holoprojector out and a hologram showing the simulated bombing from the library terminal. What can you tell me about Cato de Moidia? You're supposed to pay me first before I say anything. I know I've been out of the game for a long time, but that's how I remember information trading works. Here, Obi-Wan used 2 forks to lift the thick bottom layer of his sick cake and put it on Dex's plate. Your payment. You know how to bribe a man. Okay, Cato de Moidia, Dex took in a large breath. Flickering lights above causing flashes over the large brown ridge over the center of his skull. A lot of fog. Trees with glowing oil, funny-looking mountains, and cities that hang in between them. One less city, he pointed to the holographic explosion on a loop, if the holonet is accurate. What's happening? Beanie says, oh no, not Wanda. I could go for some cake. The cake is a lie. No, says, cake. Only if you make it one. I never seen cake in Star Wars before. That shit sounds great. Not quite a full city, but yes. Yes, it is. And Obi-Wan took a much smaller bite than Dex's. Dooku is whispering into their ear that the Republic is behind it. The Basilik raised an eyebrow and paused. Do you think that as well? He finally asked, the hesitation likely the dramatic effect. His tone nearly caused Obi-Wan to choke on his cake. Of course not, he said, indignation creeping into his reply. No Republic action has been sanctioned to strike neutral systems. It was a serious statement, and yet Dex roared with a laughter at it, his bottom right hand slapping the inside of the counter. You don't believe that some Republic system would take this opportunity to weaken the Trade Federation? Somewhere far from the core, where there are far fewer eyes, your idealism is adorable. Dex grabbed the napkin from under the counter and balled it up. He tossed it over Obi-Wan's shoulder, hitting the cylinder-shaped music player against the far wall. It came to life, neon blues and red lightning up while a song made up of nothing but percussion instruments started. If the Trade Federation implodes, a lot of systems could step into that power vacuum. The point was clear, and any twinge of embarrassment disappeared. Quickly, Obi-Wan staying in the moment. I don't know if it matters now. Honestly, they have just released a statement agreeing with the suggestion to bring the Chancellor to Cato Nemoidia. Dooku wants the Chancellor to go there. Sounds inadvisable, so I can see why the Separatists are pushing that button. Exactly, and probably will go unless I can convince them to accept a Jedi in its place. The Nemoidians, the hologram of the bombing, fizzled as Dex poked at it, then swiped it aside to pull a data on the Trade Federation's purse words. Unique species. Their brains are wired for calculation. Everything is an instinctive risk assessment to them. Some call it cowardly. I think it's a strong survival instinct. Percentages and risk. I work with some back in my black market days. Quick thinkers. I'd want them on my side. Picking a side means losing half of your customers, though. Dex straightened up, his massive shoulders suddenly looking like mountains as he stood behind the bar. In most cases, so that's it. Appeal to their sense of risk. How do you recommend going about that? Obi-Wan lifted his plate. Bring them cake. They don't have a tighter relationship with the Republic, I'll tell you that. And not exactly with the Jedi either, if I recall. You were involved with some of that. Obi-Wan's voice dropped his sense of humor. Newt Gunray is considered an extremist by the government, Senator Dodd. There you go again, you Jedi getting lost in the details. Obi-Wan tapped his fork against his plate. So go with cake then? Perhaps. Dex stretched out upper arms reaching overhead while his lower arms clutched his belly. It's simple, really. Cato Nemoidia is the base of operations for the Trade Federation. Long memories doze the Nemoidians. Make them forget, Obi-Wan waved his hand, prompting a laugh from Dex. I don't know if one Jedi is powerful enough to do that. Not forget, show them that sending Palpatine might invite more trouble than it's worth. And show them that Jedi isn't going to tear through them like at Naboo. Obi-Wan nodded, his mind reframing options to Dex's new direction. Remember, it's all numbers to them. It's what got them there. It's what got them where they are. See, all the Republic types think it's their ideology. Dex shook his head with a chuckle. That's short-sighted. It's a strategy, not politics. Their neutrality is different from the neutrality your old friend preaches. I didn't even know their brain works like that. That's actually very interesting. Oh, dude, we got somebody new in the chat. Nitro X90. Hello, I'm currently going through Twitch finding streamers with 5 or less viewers. I just wanted to stop by and tell you to keep up the amazing work and don't quit because you're doing an amazing job. Hope you have an amazing rest of your week and stay safe and enjoy the rest of your stream. Yo, I appreciate it, Nitro. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just doing shit that I like. Oh, that's nice. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I appreciate that. What kind words, bro? I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. That's fantastic. Obi-Wan had known Dex a long time, going back to a youthful misadventure out in the unknown regions, and though they only saw each other occasionally, his old friend knew just how to needle him. This particular jab was so effective that a grin slipped through, and Obi-Wan raised an eyebrow with a subtle acknowledgement. What, old friend? Oh, I don't know. Dresses better than you, striking, yes. Mandalorian royalty? Used to call you Ben for some reason. Oh shit, so that's... Oh dang, that's where he got the name from. Oh shit. Dex said with one of his hearty chuckles, that's the one I hear. She's quite the savvy politician. Oh, I think he's talking about Duchess Satine. Yeah. Obi-Wan wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of saying her name out loud, or the fact that the Duchess Satine, of Mandalore, was maintaining neutrality in the Clone Wars to ensure that her people didn't return their previous warlike ways. The simple foolishness of an impulsive youth. Oh, so he got the name Ben Kenobi when he was on the mission, with Qui-Gon when he had to stay there for a year. Oh, that's why he came up with Ben Kenobi. That makes sense. My favorite dude, Ben Kenobi. Now we know. I thought he just came up with a name after the whole Order 66 thing, but apparently he had that name before. Who knew? You keep telling yourself that, old buddy. I don't know. Why don't you ask her about neutrality instead of an old slug at a diner? Well, it's simple, Dex. I want a dessert. To prove the point, Obi-Wan stabbed 2 pieces of cake, one from each layer, then took them down in one bite. So I suppose I can convince them the Republic sends a Jedi. He continues still chewing. Then what? I'd say it starts with the bombing. What was targeted and how was it done and why? Obi-Wan clicked the button in the holo projector to deactivate it, then tapped the data pad before sliding it over. I'm glad you asked. Dex took one glance at the numbers and lists on the pad, then pushed it back. No, no, no. See, you're looking at the wrong thing here. All you got is facts. Another eyebrow rose. Though this one had nothing to do with Satine Kryze. What's so bad about facts, Dex? Without context, facts are useless. The holographic images returned as Dex tapped the pad with his large finger, then started swiping through. You look at this and you see blast radius, casualty total, potential targets. What is the context? He asks, tapping his finger with every word of his question. The context is, Obi-Wan took in the breath, we know the Republic didn't do it. Dex started to retort, but Obi-Wan held up a finger. We assume the Republic didn't do it. The Separatists say they didn't. The Trade Federation is neutral. Whoever did it is an extremist, regardless of side, correct? Dex asks. His question came with a tangible weight, and in the moment, Obi-Wan considered that Dex would have made a really good teacher for a Padawan. Fair to assume, and the Trade Federation considers Newt Gunray an extremist. Extremism is only escalates when it's left unchecked. When you stay neutral in the face of it, the Basilisk gave a knowing grin. What if you could turn the Trade Federation into an ally? Make neutrality seem like the Dex chuckled echoed through the space. Risky thing to do. Obi-Wan nodded, remaining food on his plate suddenly forgotten. Dex was right. Going to Keda Moya, treating things strictly as an investigation to clear the Republic's name, that would only keep the Trade Federation neutral, and that neutrality would in itself enable the war to escalate. This catastrophe, Obi-Wan said, pointing to the looping simulation of the attack, may also be an opportunity. Oh, Senator Lotdot acts as a firewall for the Trade Federation. Gaining an audience with their leadership is nearly impossible, but this provides us a direct opportunity to speak to them, to be heard, possibly. He leaned back on his stool and hand over his beard, especially right now while the war is young. Now you're getting it. So the first trick is to get them to accept a Jedi, and while that Jedi is earning their trust, perhaps talking to them out of neutrality, easy, right? Dex looked over his shoulder. Wanda! The waitress droid rolled to the kitchen window. You need something, hun? Dex took a bite from the remaining cake slices, then looked at the chrono on the wall. Brew a new pot of calf, please. We're going to be here a while. You got it, boss. Cream and sugar in yours, hun? Oh, no, Obi-Wan said. I prefer my calf straight black. That's right. Why they still gotta be talking about cake? Bro, they freaking love their cake over here. I swear, that cake is getting character development at this point. Cake lore. Bro, hey, I didn't know Obi-Wan loves cake. Who'd have guessed, right? Bro, I'm loving this book, bro. And most of that chapter is just about cake. Alright, we're on chapter 6. We're doing pretty good shit. We'll do a couple more of these. I should be able to finish the book before the show comes out. It does have 50 chapters though. But I hope you guys are enjoying it. I know it's great to draw too. Yes. Just have me in the background as you do your natural daily things. Chapter 6. Back to our favorite space Jesus, Anakin Skywalker. The view above looked like stars. Though Anakin knew better, they both did. Really, the pinpricks of light, being blinking status beacons or glowing sonatas from higher levels. That was life in Coruscant's underbelly among its endless rows of massive structures. But it was romantic for anyone willing to pretend the lights were stars and the industrial fumes puffing from nearby stacks and vents were fog. Yeah, that's not good for your lungs. The artificial night sky made the underworld feel like a completely different place. Not just a location in the Republic, but a portal to an other dimension. Oklahoma? In Eudaimone's market, a new smell came every few meters, though Padme led Anakin to one very specific rusty stall. They sat on a stack of rusty crates, something that may have even been in that very location since the days of the High Republic. Hey, the first mention of the High Republic in this era. Did things change down here in a world of nearly perpetual dark? A population only concerned with the next job, the next sleep, the next meal? Sounds like Florida. Ironic. Anakin thought to himself, because while he wondered about the culture and safety of the local residents, Padme focused entirely on the immediate. The frantic had in her hands metallic foil wrapper per- preserving its heat. This is really, really, really good, she said, taking large bites without the decorum you found in government banquet halls. Oh, I thought they were going to mention kick again. Maybe it was because none of the handmaidens lingered around to see it. And she added, finishing the Frankie had in a gulp, I don't think to know what is in it. She dabbed the napkin against her lip. You haven't touched yours yet. Afraid it's not going to be close to the real thing? The real thing being... What is this? What is this dish they're doing? Frantic had a dish commonly found on desert planets. There's a whole planet for desserts? Oh my god, I want to go there. Florida is the least affordable state in the U.S. to live. Sad face. But it's a destination because tourists love it here. So, you know, and as much as it, bro, I know, right? Desert planet? Can we please see that in canon? I didn't know there's a whole planet for just desserts. That's crazy. Yo, I'm hyped, bro. Bro, everyone there must be obese. The term delicacy went a little too far. Variations existed based on local meats and culture, but nearly every desert planet, there's more than one desert planet? What is this? That Anakin knew of had some sort of Frankie had. Bro, I want to go to these things. We had desert planet, now we get ready for desert planet. Oh my, bro, I wish the Galaxy had, oh my god, Galaxy Edge should have that. Oh my god, if Galaxy Edge was good, they would have that. That's crazy, they have more than one. And Anakin knows more than one. After cooking, the local meats and vegetables were served in a thin bread-like wrap. He still remembered the exact steps to go from their home to the moist Espa vendor with a ground oven right next to her stall. And if they managed to get a few extra parts for bartering, his mother would take them for a bonus indulgence. Something far tastier than the bland dishes they typically ate. How did you even find out about this? He asked Padme. Oh, people in government know where the good food is. They talk, and once I heard Bill compare it to a meat griller on the desert world, I thought of you. We just haven't had a chance to try it. Padme's brow furrowed with a sudden hesitation. Annie, I'm so sorry. I know the last time we were on Tatooine, you murdered men, women, and children, and I said that's hot. I was just so excited to find this for you. I didn't even... No, it's not that. He put the Frankie hat up to his nose, taking in the aroma of spices and meat. It was close enough that it triggered warm images of the dinner table with his mother. Those are good memories, and this, he said, holding it up, is a new memory with you. It's perfect. Something's bothering you, though. Sort of. It's not what you think, and it's not this. Anakin hesitated, suddenly feeling like the little boy on Tatooine, so flushed at the sight of her walking into Watto's shop that he blurted out the first thing that came to mind. Are you an angel? I have something for you. A gift, Annie? You never need to worry about those things. It's not much, you know. The Jedi and our rules about possessions. I can't give you things, he said, opening the pouch on his belt. His fingers wrapped around a disc-shaped gold pendant. It's a necklace chain dangling as he pressed it into her hand. But I can give you a piece of me. Padme held it up, the harsh light from the vendor's window enough to put the object in full view. Is this? My Padawan braid. She traced the braid, now coiled into a spiral and encased in a carbonite, as it sat with the pendant's simple design, to new beginnings. Even in the dim light, Anakin could see the flush come to Padme's cheeks, and though she'd been known to sway entire systems to the power of words, her mouth remained open yet silent. But she didn't need to say anything. The look in her eyes was enough. She leaned against him, and even though she put the chain around her neck, her hand still held on to the pendant, as if it could keep them together despite the galactic turmoil constantly around them. Okay, he said after a minute. She turned to him inquisitively. Now I'm going to try the Frankie head. Damn, what a romantic date. We had Desert Planet again. The cake lore continues. You murdered children? OMG, you're so wild. Freaking heart emoji. Bro, that lady what her thought was. She was like, everybody makes mistakes. I'm like, bro, yeah, people make mistakes. People don't go murdering men, women, and children. That's a little bit more than a mistake. That's jail time. But nah, Padme said that. That's a great. I had wild nights too. It was close to Tatooine's cooking. I wonder if Chopper's still cooking. Is Chopper still doing the cooking? Close enough that Anakin considered ways he could directly get credits, find Speeder, and enjoy it from time to time. He wasn't sure if war would make all that harder or easier to do. I'm just going to assume harder. And then he gave himself a mental kick. Here he was, sharing a frozen Joro cream sundae. Bro, this book is making me hungry. Oh my god. Remember, you can still go to Force Heaven if you murdered children. That's true. Just do one good act. Even if you murdered children, you can still go to First Heaven. Just throw your old senator off a cliff. Which I didn't like, by the way. Don't throw me off of cliffs. But yeah, this book is making me hungry. Jesus Christ. There's a lot of good desserts in here. Frozen. Dang, I lost my track. Oh, I see something about children. He was sharing a frozen Joro cream sundae with Padme in complete anonymity, and his mind wandered back to war. He told himself to lock into the moment, to simply be with her, and he tracked her gaze over to the trio of children, oh boy, sitting next to one of the stalls, scooting a toy pod racer crudely constructed out of a pair of canned strings and stick. What are you thinking? All the children I killed, probably? Anakin asked, though he knew the answer. Those younglings, she said, digging into the sundae between them. I worry about them. Will they ever escape the underworld? Do they know what's out there? Do they realize a war is breaking out? He knew it. She was always thinking about how to make things better, just like when she sent Sabe to Tatooine in a quest to free those enslaved there. Thoughts probably churn right now about the education subsidies of the underprivileged younglings of the lower levels, about how to use her influence as a senator to speak with local government for an outreach program, that sort of thing. She sounds like Obama. Maybe he did those kids a favor. I'm gonna say nah, Tape. I don't think he did those kids a favor by murdering them. You know, they had a lot to live for, even though they were sand people. You know, they could have been eaten by a crate dragon. You don't know. Oh, shit, excuse me. And while that was much of why he loved her, it also kind of irked him in the moment. Damn. I'm sorry, she said, catching herself. We don't have much time together. We wouldn't spend it talking about the war. It's just she held her spoon up to her mouth, paused in contemplation. Cato the Moidia. Of course, for that brief instant, Anakin didn't care who bombed Cato the Moidia or why. He just wished it would all disappear. This man is a selfish bitch. Oh my god. They were probably going to die tragically either way. I mean, at least if they died trying to kill a crate dragon, you know, that would have been at least a little more honorable than a man just throwing up in your camp and just like, alright, all of you are dead now. But man, Anakin is a selfish bastard. Oh my god. Bro, he should not have been a Jedi. Of course, for that brief instant, Anakin didn't care. He just was all. And that sunless realm of Coruscant's underworld really was a portal to another dimension, one without the Galactic Senate or the Jedi Order. But then guilt quickly draped over that. Yeah, you should feel guilty for that. And understanding of the civilian suffering on the planet, where right now emergency medical crews attempted to rescue the Moidians from the debris. I don't know what to believe with the bombing or why. The way this war has started is not just the violence, it's bad faith and disinformation. Misrepresentation under the mask of independence. Her words came at the pace of a public speaker, as if she stood in a floating pod in the Senate chamber instead of sitting with a bowl of frozen Joro cream. I know the Republic gets stuck in the bureaucracy. I've lived it, but to claim that... She paused again, her human side taken back over from the politician. I'm sorry again. Don't be. I want to hear what you have to say. It's a trap. It's a trap. I don't know why. I don't know by whom or why, but it's a trap. That's why we got the temple so quickly today, to catch the Chancellor before he made any decisions. I'm sure the Republic Security Council wants to treat it purely as a military operation, but diplomacy is required for these. Her head tilted, and she gave that thoughtful look, the one where she squinched her nose up, a line formed between her eyebrows. Nah, you're just humoring me. Yeah, species, stop humoring her. Well, he said, finally releasing the smile that had been building up, you put up with the racetrack. I'm returning the favor. No more war, no more politics, she said with a wave of her hands. No more racing. An idea sparked in Anakin's mind, a variation on a lesson designed to help younger Padawans focus under duress. But surely it worked now. Look over there, he pointed across the small courtyard. Pick something you see, the first thing. Her brow crinkled at his request, but she played along, an exaggerated squint as she observed. I see, a balloon, trailing that young Quarren. Now what? Keep looking at it. Just stare at it. As she looked, Anakin behind her. Knelt behind her. Oh God. Close enough that his lips brushed her ears. All that exists right now is you, me, and that balloon, he whispered. Just us, she whispered back. Just us, he said, feeling the warmth of radiating off her cheek and the balloon. What is this man trying to do right now? A gust of wind blew something probably created by a combination of exhaust vents, passing traffic, and barely functioning industrial fans. It contained the stink of so many smells that never should have blended together, and Anakin looked at the lives of the underworld dwellers. Other than the lack of sand and heat, it really wasn't that different from growing up on Tatooine. I want to help these people, Anakin said. I don't know how, but I want to do something. That's my arena, Padme craned her neck, kissing Anakin on the cheek. You just keep us safe so I can do something about it. Still kneeling behind her, he placed his left hand on her shoulder. She reached up and took it, and their fingers interlacing even with their awkward position. And though she could have moved, the moment was perfect encapsulation of who they were, and he didn't want to break it. Not just yet. I consider requesting you for escort duty, since you're a Jedi Knight now, Padme said, a playfulness to her tone despite the topic shifting yet again to their politics. But I decided against it. Why is that? Because secret dates mean I get to spend time with my husband. Instead of her voice changed to deeper formal tone, Jedi Knight, protector of the Republic. Before he could react, she stood up, then took him by the mechanical hand, flowers still glowing behind her ear. She tugged him along. He walked in step with her, away from the rusted crates that doubled as stools and toward the path leading out of Humanity's market. Wait, we're not done with the sundae, Anakin said, glancing back. Finish the sundae. Almost, but not quite finished dessert. I think we can let it go. No, don't let it go. You'll see. Padme pulled with intensity and picked up her pace. They wove their way through the mix of underworld locales and curious surface travelers until breaking past the perimeter of the market where their speeders sat parked. She opened storage compartment and pulled out the bag she'd packed right when they picked up the rental vehicle from the dealer several levels below the planet's surface. She held up to show him, but he failed to catch anything special about it. It appeared to be just what it is. It's a bag. Am I missing something? It is a bag, but sometimes what's important is what's inside. Padme kept her eyes locked with this, a mischievous smile on her face as she tugged on the bag's drawstrings, opening it enough to pull out folded blankets, but the look in her eye gave all the context he needed. This was the Padme he adored, someone who spent most of her days understanding the nuances of countless beings to do right for them. Yet, on occasion, a fire burst through, something brighter and more intense than the hottest sun, when she allowed it, like now. She walked to the side of the rented speeder, a barely functioning vehicle covered in dents and grime, a far cry from a Jedi starfighter or elegant designs of Naboo transports, and unfolded blankets in the back seat. A lot of quiet places in these lower levels, she said. You're the pilot. Think you could find us somewhere private? Oh boy. But I have some clapping cheeks time. How many pages have we talked about? We talked about dessert. I know, right? They love their dessert and this shit. No more war. No more war in Star Wars. It's over. There's this peace. Clearly the writer was hungry writing this part of the book. That or people in Star Wars really love their desserts. I think it's probably that the creator was probably hungry as shit. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna write cake in this. Knowing the mindset of writers, this is definitely true. Maybe the real war is dessert in dessert what? Enjoy versus dessert haters. Is that the real war of Star Wars? People just want dessert and they can't get it. What time is it now? It's 4:05. How long have we been going so far? We've been going for I don't know, 6 minutes. We could do one more chapter. We'll do 7. How long is this? Yeah, we'll do one more chapter. This is a W book. I'm enjoying it. Most of the books, most of the Star Wars books are very good. The only ones I can't really get through is the Thrawn one. But if you ever watch Rebels and you see how like Thrawn talks and thinks, it's cool in television. But when you have to read it, it's kind of like, ugh. Yeah, one more chapter. Yeah, all right, we're gonna do one more chapter. We're on chapter 7. Obi-Wan Kenobi again. Only a chair, Obi-Wan kept telling himself, a chair that Qui-Gon Jinn never sat in, for good reason. For a variety of reasons. He had a chance to join the Jedi Council, of course, turning it down to remain Obi-Wan's master. And then that opportunity never returned, Qui-Gon's path splitting off into a different direction before ending abruptly on Naboo. It was only a chair, and yet it meant so much more. Though some time had passed, Obi-Wan still felt a complete spectrum of emotions when he entered the Jedi Council chamber and looked at the chair designated for him. He tried to let his feelings pass, though guilt was often the last to leave. Of course, he couldn't turn down the opportunity to fill Coleman Trebar's spot, even on a temporary basis. Sitting on the council was among the highest honors for any Jedi. The responsibility itself hadn't proved daunting after all. He'd mentored the most powerful and headstrong Jedi in recent history. The questioning in him came from the title itself. Yoda, Mace Windu, Even Peel, East Koth, and others, all more skilled. Stop lying to yourself, Obi-Wan. You're more skilled than them, or more wise. Again, stop lying to yourself. Than him, something he freely admitted. For them to ask for his input, intimidated wasn't the right word. Instead, Obi-Wan wondered if he possibly had the proper insight and experience to contribute to such a group. But he had been one to suggest a Jedi in place of Palpatine. He had stayed up with Dex, devising a strategy to present something he'd done earlier to the Council and Palpatine. And with their blessing, everything led to this moment. All Obi-Wan could do was breathe. Just keep breathing. Despite the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, our intelligence has lowered the estimated death toll to approximately 3,200. The local government has set up temporary infirmaries for rescued survivors, currently estimated at 300. Up to 1,000 are listed as missing, and we have received more information to refine our simulation of the blast. Signs of Republic involvement are there. Yoda asked the holographic armored trooper in the middle of the council chamber. Oh, I think he's talking. Nothing specific that we can see. There are no logs of... I can't tell what he... No, he's not talking. Oh, he is talking. Dang, he took a long sentence. There are no logs of any activity in the sector. Not from the troop movements, transports, or ID tags of... He's actually speaking basic English here. I like when he speaks backwards. Or ID tags of individual cruisers. But getting on the surface to investigate up close will offer more direction. Understood. Thank you, Commander, Mace said. Oh, wait, no, that was a clone trooper. I could never tell when someone's talking. No, that was a clone trooper. I was like, why are you speaking regular English? Thrawn, best blue boy. He is the best blue boy. I do love him. Understand that. No, yeah, that was a clone. I was like, that's not Master Yoda. Yeah, that was a clone. Whoops. Clone voice. Yoda voice for the clone. Mace said, there are the last reports from the HoloNet. A compilation of news recordings and official speeches appeared in the trooper's place. Aerial images of where the Kadusor district used to interlock into the rest of Zarya. Now a massive gap between Spires and Cato Moria. On the ground images of medical personnel sweeping through rubble. The massive makeshift infirmaries in factories and parks are as survivors are rescued from the wreckage. The recording interrupted, pausing before disappearing, only to be replaced by Mas Amedda, that damn Sharian, Sharian Vice Chair of the Galactic Senate. Masters, he said, slight bow to his head, we are ready for the negotiation. Obi-Wan steadied himself, the chair never feeling more ill-fitting than now. Yoda tapped his cane against the smooth council floor, then gestured to the hollow. Clone doing his best Yoda impression. May I present Aluv Iam, Minister of Defense of Cato Nemoidia. The Nemoidian faded into view to the right of Mas Amedda. What? Burnt orange robe and matching headpiece singling his status with the government. And of course, our Chancellor is listening as well. Palpatine's image appeared on the opposite side. Minister Yam, Obi-Wan said, nodding. On behalf of the Jedi Council, we extend our condolences to Kayla Modia as well as the Trade Federation. The Modia nodded, then held up a single finger. I appreciate your concern, Master Kenobi. However, we are in a state of crisis management here. I request that your proposal be brief. The Trade Federation and Senator Dodd have decided to stay out of this discussion, given that Senator Dodd has a presence of Republic politics. In the full transparency, Separatist leaders have sent us a preliminary report to back up their findings pointing to suspicious Republic activity. Given this, we remain in support of Count Dooku's suggestion that would appreciate Chancellor Palpatine's swift arrival to discuss matters. Obi-Wan shot a quick look over to Palpatine. Access to anyone within the Trade Federation leadership outside of Senator Dodd was an immediate victory. Even though the Cato-Moidian officials concerned themselves with mostly local governance, the planet itself was still the center of the Trade Federation's operations. Winning over their Minister of Defense and others could be significant for the Republic. Obi-Wan stood up, and the morning light of the Coruscant beaming through the projections. I understand. Simply put, we have assessed the situation, and we believe that sending Chancellor Palpatine would be a mistake for all involved. In this place, a single Jedi emissary with a minimal investigation support team should travel to Cato Moidia. Minister Ayam opened his mouth, but Obi-Wan expected this, and though it would have been polite to let him speak, Obi-Wan continued to lay out all of his points. The arrival of the Chancellor represents both an immediate security risk and an invitation to escalate conflict. Because of his status within the galactic politics, he would need to be accompanied by many layers of security, from guards to clones to possibly even Jedi. Not only would this create an unease among a population currently in mourning, it might raise tension with anyone who was prematurely blamed the Republic for the Kadasara tragedy. A single action might thus bring the war to Cato Moidia. That is the last thing that your people need, not because of any political stance, but because they are dealing with an unspeakable tragedy. We propose that this emissary be sent, not simply to assess the damage, but also giving the Jedi's training and tools to undergo a thorough investigation to identify the true source of the attack. At the same time, Obi-Wan paused to emphasize the oncoming point. The emissary will be able to hear your concerns and grievances surrounding the war or its impact on your operations. The support crew would be open to monitoring and only there as specialists to assist the investigation. Such a group would be far smaller and far more effective than what the Chancellor would require. We offer sources of the Republic to you. Obi-Wan took a moment before looking Minister Yam square in the eye in good faith. Several seconds passed with only the hum of the holoprojector. Yam looked off to the side, then tented his long fingers before returning to Obi-Wan. This is an interesting proposal, Master Kenobi. I see your point. We believe such a movement would minimize risk for all parties involved. I hope you consider the possibilities and see that as well. We want to assist Cato Moidia while avoiding any possible violence. This, not about the war, this is about the truth. Yam again looked away, speaking inaudibly to someone unseen. You make very good points, Master Kenobi. I have considered the variables of your proposal, and I believe you are correct. This is the best way to work with the Republic without inviting unwanted attention or further violence. You know, even though Obi-Wan's called the negotiator, this is probably the first time I've seen him actually do proper negotiation. Yeah. Obi-Wan exhaled and stifled the urge to smile. He'd been in many high-stake negotiations during his life, but none as pivotal as this. Not just because of the implications for the galaxy, but also as a representative of the Jedi Council as a Jedi Master. I thank you for your consideration. Sending a single Jedi requires minimal logistics. We will. Before Obi-Wan could finish, a new holographic image appeared. Oh boy. Count Dooku. Tension rippled through the Jedi Council chamber, a tangible shift in the air and the Force. If I may interject, Minister Yam, Dooku said, while Master Kenobi and the Jedi Council speak honorably, I might remind you of the long history of prejudice between the Republic and the Moidian people. Master Kenobi, I must apologize, Yam said. The Trade Federation has invited Count Dooku to listen in on our discussion. Of course he did. A series of hollow figures stood in front of Obi-Wan. The unlikely image of Palpatine and Dooku were meters apart, offering a stark representation of the galaxy's balance of power. And also, Master and Apprentice, come on guys, can you not sense this nigga? But rather than speak, Palpatine turned to Obi-Wan and gestured for him to continue. All that time with decks accumulated in this critical juncture, cups of calf and long hours never being more important than now. The Jedi are outside of galactic politics. What is your concern, Count Dooku? Outside of galactic politics, I find that statement amusing given that the Jedi are leading your clones into battle while you represent the Republic in a political negotiation. Similarly, an investigatory crew that you bring will be under the employ of the Republic and not be trusted. Obi-Wan wanted to say, get to the point, but losing his composure in the face of a liar and murder would instantly hand over victory to the Sith. He held on to the image of Qui-Gon's calm in and the face of danger and a centering he relied upon when needed and spoke directly to Yum, a new idea sparkling in his mind. I wish to allay any suspicions and fears from you, the people of Kea Moidia, the Trade Federation, and, he said, looked at the Sith Lord's hologram, Count Dooku. Thus I will augment the proposal. I will go by myself without any support. The investigation may take a little longer as I am merely one person, but I am willing to trade this to ensure good faith among all parties. Yo, Obi-Wan got some balls. Dooku raised an eyebrow, and Obi-Wan locked his focus on the Count even though his instincts wanted to pull away and see Palpatine's response. Master Kenobi, I believe the last time we saw each other, you and your apprentice tried to murder me. Yeah, for good reason. Obi-Wan considered reminding everyone that just prior to that, Dooku tried executing them, Anakin and Senator Amidala in a giant Geonosis arena. However, that seemed politically unwise given the delicacy of the moment. Considering that a misunderstanding, he bit out. If you haven't been listening, I have promised Mr. Am a complete commitment to the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. The truth, Dooku laughed. What a way with words you have. Truth can be manipulated. How do you know Mr. Yam can trust you? Trust, Obi-Wan eyed Dooku. Even as a hollow broadcast from across the galaxy, he recognized exactly the game being played here. Every single word from Dooku was both a challenge to him and a threat to Eon, Dodd, and whoever else might be listening. Obi-Wan considered all of that and launched a counterattack as targeted as a swing of his lightsaber. You knew my master. You were his master. So tell me, Count, did you trust Qui-Gon Jinn? The mere mention of the fallen Jedi's name shifted Dooku's expression, his eyes softening and mouth turning for a flash before returning to a cold neutral, the first possibly only crack in Dooku's armor. Qui-Gon Jinn was an honorable man. Now Obi-Wan moved to his offensive, a momentum to his words. I carry his teachings with me every day. If you trusted Qui-Gon, then know you can trust me as well. Dooku's eye, damn, low blow, Obi-Wan, I like it. Dooku's eyes darted a quick movement that probably guides those around him. Obi-Wan took a moment to do the same thing himself and caught the smallest smirk on Palpatine's lips. Yo, Palpatine just enjoying the drama. You make a convincing argument, Master Kenobi. Very well, I will endorse this proposal, with two further caveats. You must arrive on an unarmed Republic shuttle, not a starfighter or other vehicle with attack capabilities, and you are prohibited from any communication with either Coruscant or the Jedi Council. Of course, Dooku said, I have no true say in this. I am merely voicing an opinion. Mr. Ram must make the decision. Bro, they're trying to take out my boy Obi-Wan. Anything that ensures diplomatic discussions with the minimal risk of conflict or violence is appreciated. Count Dooku's caveats make sense, Eom said quickly, his tone as straight as his words. Obi-Wan considered the possibility of being completely stranded on Kea Moidia without any means of connecting with support. He bit down his lips, mind racing options to counter the suggestion when Palpatine's voice broke through. The Republic accept these terms. Master Kenobi will depart tomorrow after a day of... Bro, they're just trying to kill this boy Obi-Wan, bro. That's what they're trying to do. Like, what's going on? Nah, because they can sense that Anakin is force sensitive and Luke, but not Palpatine. I know, right? Well, I mean, I guess because like there is a way, because Palpatine probably shuts himself off from the Force. Because when Rey mentions that to Luke, she's like, I can't feel you. So that's probably what he's doing, which is why they can't sense him until like he wants them to sense him. But, you know, just looking at his shady behavior, I'm like, come on, bro. He's right there. Plus, Count Dooku did tell him that the Senate is under the influence of a Sith Lord. Probably should have investigated that shit. It's my theory now. Something is fishy. You guys think there's different religions in space? Oh yeah, there's definitely different religions in space. Has to be right. I wonder what different planets populations believe in. Watch it be a giant donut. I can see Jedi's being racist when other people are praying slash worshiping, just cutting them down, saying trust only the Force. To answer your question, there are different religions. A lot of them are they basically believe in the Force, but they call it a different name. Like not every culture calls the Force the Force. Like I think one culture Luke studied with, they call it like the Way, or something like that. But damn, Jedi just running around slashing their lightsabers, trusting the Force. Believe me, just murdering a bunch of people. But they're trying to take my nigga Obi-Wan out. I can't believe this. Eon looked among the different parties in the Hall of Communications. We welcome any assistance that may help us in our time of need. I look forward to seeing you in person, Minister Yam. Obi-Wan bowed his head and was about to signal for the transmission to end when Dooku spoke up. One final details, my friends, he said. The word friends stretching out with a coarse inflection. I believe in supporting Keda Moya during its time of need. As such, I should send my own representative from the Confederacy of the Independent Systems to ensure that this Jedi emissary remains. Dooku smiled in a way that seemed sincere only on the surface. Honest. And with that, Dooku faded from the transmission before anyone else could respond. Damn, yeah, they're trying to take my boy out. Oh no, the way. This is the way. I have spoken. Oh my god, the Mandalorians do believe in another. I don't know if they don't. I don't think they believe in religion. It's just like their way of doing things is improved by combat and war, which they're probably wishing they could be a part of the Clone Wars right now, which they will. At least Death Watch will. A few pages ago. My research has informed a strategy I suggest we employ for this operation, Obi-Wan said to the remaining members of the Jedi Council. About 15... Obi-Wan always gets the best missions. About 15 minutes had passed since all the transmissions ended, leaving the assembled Jedi free from the interplay of political and military influence for a far more open discussion. The Chancellor is right. This is an opportunity for negotiation. Considering how all communication to the Trade Federation has gone through Senator Dodd since Geonosis, the fact that he is staying out of this is notable. He took in a breath, running through all the points he discussed with Dex. The Trade Federation has denounced Newt Gunray as the leader of the Splinter Group. This bombing, whoever did it, is clearly the act of an extremist of some sort. These are related symptoms, not a root cause. Extremism will only accelerate the war, not bring it to a peaceful conclusion. All eyes sat on him without any objection so far. But we have an opportunity now, a unique one, to show the Trade Federation that remaining neutral in the face of extremism is in fact enabling terrorism and thus making the war more dangerous. Yoda watched the space for reactions. Ki-Adi-Mundi tented his fingers and leaned forward, scars still healing across his cheek from his recent encounter with General Grievous. Oh my god, bro, that's the first time. I don't know if you guys ever watched the old school like Samurai Jack Clone Wars cartoon, but it's the one where General Grievous first appears, and he basically kills the Star Wars version of Shaggy, and he absolutely wrecks like a bunch of Jedi, and Ki-Adi-Mundi is one of them. This is the first time in like canon that they made it, kind of made it canon, because like it just basically mentioned that he got his ass whooped, and now he's sitting here. I know our boy Grievous, before he got nerfed, this is our first canon that he actually did whoop that man's ass. I believe the strategy here to be equal parts diplomacy and negotiation, with the key being to understand the Neimoidians as a people, because their culture is based on a philosophy of risk assessment. Beanie, it's funny. The Neimoidians sound like your brother. If your brother was in Star Wars, he'd be a Neimoidian. Oh my god. We must build a message around his inherent risk of prolonging the war by letting extremism grow. We must remind them of not just economic risk of instability across the galaxy, but the potential loss of life as the violence escalates, including as they have discovered to their own people. I see a mission in two parts. First, gain the trust of the Trade Federation by successfully clearing the Republic, then appeal to their sense of risk assessment to actively support the Republic. The move would take away major logistical resources from the Separatists, all hopefully leading to de-escalation and eventually the negotiation rather than more fighting. And above all else, we must show good faith. Obi-Wan took a breath, giving the Council and the Chancellor a moment to process the information. Finally, Yoda broke the silence. Informative, Master Kenobi. An astute observation you have provided. While you depart for Caelum Mordia, we have a new matter to discuss. The Chancellor's request to prepare Padawans for the field, Mace said with a solemn nod. Padawans for the military? Obi-Wan asked, unaware that Palpatine had asked for... Palpatine asked for the Padawans to be part of the military? Yo, Palpatine's a straight dick. Oh my god. They nerfed Grievous so hard. I know, they did. Damn. He gets tall hat. Who, your brother? Yeah. Bro, of course Palpatine's the one that freaking requested for Padawans to be part of the military. That's crazy. He's like, I want children to run around in the war. Obi-Wan asked, unaware that Palpatine had asked for such a thing. Padawans had certainly fought in skirmishes alongside the clones. Geonosis saw more than its share, including Anakin, but further blurring of the lines between the Jedi Order and the military, the idea caused enough unease in Obi-Wan that it momentarily overtook the mission to Caelum Mordia in his thoughts. A recent discussion interrupted by Caelum Mordia's tragedy. We must act in the best interest of the Republic. We are at war. Mace said as a definitive statement as Obi-Wan had heard the old master make. The Chancellor is allowing the Jedi freedom to assess the best way to balance military assignments between Jedi Knights and Padawans. Your concern it is not. Focus on Caelum Mordia. The various council members murmured an affirmation, a vote of confidence in Obi-Wan that explained Yoda's look. He inhaled sharply at this realization, and uncertainty flooded him. Not at the ability to do the job that he meticulously researched and planned out, but at the trust the council, the Chancellor, placed in him. Had he earned it? Obi-Wan let the feelings pass and simply bowed his head. I'll begin my preparations immediately. But he posed to Yoda, my former Padawan is still new in his role. Shall I speak to him about the Chancellor's militarization request as well? Skywalker is no longer your responsibility, Mace said, the lines on his face shifting ever so slightly. Obi-Wan recognized the look. It seemed to be a constant whenever Anakin and Mace crossed paths. Bro, they wonder why Anakin killed them so easily. Damn, people being dicks out here with him. Even Jedi had interpersonal conflicts, he supposed. Yoda must have sensed a change in the air, stepping in with his usual softer touch. Patience and humility, Skywalker, and other new Jedi have learned to earn their title, he said. To show the younglings their next task is. To show the younglings their next task is. A decade had passed since Obi-Wan had handled responsibility Yoda referred to, and he cringed a bit inside. It quickly turned into a grin at the thought of Anakin Skywalker, the person that Qui-Gon believed to be the chosen one, the young man who charged headfirst into Count Dooku's lightning attack, now headed toward the biggest challenge of his life. As his former master, this assignment you should give him. Warn him, perhaps, so many questions the younglings ask. Oh, that's what Yoda said. As his former master, this assignment you should give him. Warn him, perhaps. So many questions, the younglings ask. Yoda said with a laugh. So many questions. And that's the end of chapter 7. They already have PTSD when they are young. Just put them in warp. That's what Palpatine said. Palpatine's like, you know what? Just screw it. Just send the child soldiers in here. Who cares? I'm trying to get rid of as many of them as possible. So right now, we're going to leave off at chapter 8. So far, I'm freaking loving this book. This book is fantastic. And this is also something new. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you just had me chilling in the background. I hope you didn't actually watch my face for the last 2 hours. Great book, Palp, and fantastically. Thank you. I tried my best. I stumbled a few times, but that's because the way they do the punctuation is kind of weird. But so far, I'm really enjoying this book. This book is great. I mean, it was the only thing to watch. Shut up, Tape. Oh my god. You have Netflix, Hulu, you could have watched something else. Drawing and watching sometimes. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Nose, Beanie, Tape, I appreciate you guys. You guys are great. And I actually enjoyed doing this. This is gonna be like a staple. This is also a way for me to like read the books. Read the books. Because sometimes I get lazy in my normal day life and I never end up reading the books. And I have a bunch of them. You could just ask Beanie. So this is a way to like stream and also just read the books. Mr. Tape, nah, I want to hear you. That's right. Hear my sexy voice as I read the Clone Wars to you. Alright, so I'm gonna end the stream. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Um I enjoyed your company as always. Nose, if you're still there, I appreciate you, my brother. My homeboy from across the pond. And Beanie, today's Thursday, right? Beanie, I'll see you tomorrow. I can't wait for our continuation on our Lego stream. Oh no! Thank you, D4. I can't do it on my other smart half. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.